Welcome to beautiful Vancouver, everyone. It's Grey Cup Saturday here at the 111th edition of the big game. We're going to get you set as it's back inside BC Place for the first time in 10 years. With everybody's eyes on tomorrow, of course, it's the Argonauts versus the Blue Bombers one more time. There's no calm here. It's the storm before the storm here at the Grey Cup Festival. The last few days have been an absolute party in here with the fans from across the country pouring in. All the colors of the league represented, but ultimately double blue versus blue and gold is on everybody's minds. Welcome inside the Grey Cup Festival, everybody. Can't wait to have a fun day here. I'm Blake Price alongside the coaches, Jim Barker, Paul LaPolice. They're my coaches for the day. And gentlemen, you've been here every year. None of this gets old, does it? It's a lot of fun.
It just doesn't. It's the greatest 4 days, the festival. The BC Lions are doing a wonderful job. There's nowhere. The Super Bowl is so corporate, Lapo. This is about fans. This is Rider fans and Bomber fans that hate each other dancing together and drinking together, and the Stampeder fans and the Elk fans and the Argo fans and the Ticat fans. There's no enemies. It's all about Canadian football, and it is truly, truly an exciting time.
I was amazed at how many people have talked to me last night about this is my 16th straight year coming. It's become a celebration for people to come down here for a couple of days. If you haven't been, it's an amazing thing. And I love what you talked about corporate-wise. The access you have is amazing here to meet Levi Mitchell walking down the street, or you go to Spirit of Edmonton one night and you're having a beer with Danny McManus. And it's just an amazing atmosphere for people. Now, I hope I didn't out Danny McManus as a partier, but you know,
Danny McManus drinks beer?
People already know that, right? I think people already know that.
I saw Matt Dunnigan doing the 40 here yesterday. He looked pretty good, pretty darn good. We're going to have a lot of fun. A lot of special guests joining us throughout the course of the days. We count you down to the game. They're very busy inside BC Place, of course, as well, with the game on their minds because the walkthroughs are happening today. With more on that, here's Kate Burness in the panel.
Blake, we're very busy inside BC Place. We're also very cold inside BC Place. We were all excited for an indoor Grey Cup, but guess what? It's like -10 right now. That is certainly going to change tomorrow when there's over 50,000 fans inside this stadium. You just saw the Toronto Argonauts on the field, and I'll tell you this, it has been an exciting time here, and for this team and for the Bombers as well. We're excited to be here. It's Davis Sanchez, Matt Dunnigan, Enoch Mwamba, and Milt Stegall as we get set for the 111th Grey Cup. And look, there are so many incredible storylines as per usual going into this Grey Cup. But Maddie, let's start with Nick Arbuckle. So he was thrown into the situation in the Eastern Final with Chad Kelly goes down, and he had a really nice fourth quarter, led the team to victory. But now all of a sudden we're looking at a guy who we didn't even know if he'd be playing in the CFL back in May, who is starting in a Grey Cup. And for him, what does he need to do in this game?
Okay, just drive the car. Just keep it on the road. He's got so many weapons around him, and it's easier said than done, though. You know, I often say that the players on the field, they'll write the story. We simply tell it and talk about it. And Nick Arbuckle's story is yet to be written. He's got to go out there and play within himself, not try to be the guy, just spread the football around. And I think we were all devastated last week when we saw Chad go down. And I don't think anybody is more surprised than Nick Arbuckle. But as a backup quarterback for the last 6 years, basically, he has always prepared himself for this opportunity. And I think it's changed the complexion of how people have looked at this ball game. And I think it's been really good for the Toronto Argonauts because they've been able to focus on the things and how to get it done. And that's defense and special teams. Just like 1991, we had 9 first downs in the entire Grey Cup championship game offensively. 9. That's a good drive in some games. We had 9 first downs in that ball game. Defense scores, special team scores. We win going away 36-21. That's what Nick Arbuckle's got to do. He's just steer the car, keep it on the road, and play within himself.
So I look for Enoch.
We got some rowdy Argos behind us here. They're having some fun. So look, guys, I guess they're not nervous, are they? They're chirping Enoch. They're yelling at us. So this is it's pretty good. Maddie, to play off of your conversation there, and I feel you. Nick Arbuckle just got to stay within himself. He's not going to win the game on his own, but he does have some great playmakers. And this is a defense in Winnipeg that is not just the best in the league, but they're by a pretty substantial margin. And when you look at some of the metrics, and they don't give up big plays. That's not what they do. They're going to force you to nickel and dime and work the ball down the field. That being said, when I look at the playmakers for this Argos offense, they got to be special. That's the only way that I think Argos win this game is if guys make plays, run after catch. We're talking about Unger and Polk and Deontay McMahon, who's as electric as anybody around, Janarian Grant. Those guys have really got to be special when they get the ball in their hands because Nick is going to get it out quick. He gets it out quick. They make plays. That is the keys for me for the Argos offense.
And when we look at the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, too, I mean, a lot of talk going in, and the dynasty word has been brought up so many times, Milt Stegall. And look, this is their 5th straight Grey Cup. The record is currently 2-2. Do they need to win this one?
Well, in my opinion, they are a dynasty. That's no question. But the question is going to be if they lose this game, that dynasty that lost 3 in a row. That's what they'll talk about. That'll be the narrative. Not that they went to 5 Grey Cups and they won 3 out of the 5. It'll be that, yeah, okay, they went to 5, but they lost 3. And that's not the narrative you want. Regardless how many you went to, regardless if you were able to win those first 2, all they'll talk about is lost 3 Grey Cups in a row. So there's a lot of pressure on everyone, but there's more pressure on these Winnipeg Blue Bombers, especially the guys who've been there for all 5, Willie Jefferson and Oliveira and, of course, Zach. Those guys will be talked about like, yeah, you were okay, but you lost 3 Grey Cups in a row, and that's not what they want.
You can't take the dynasty away from what they've been able to do over the years, but one of the reasons why they've been so successful is because they've been able to innovate so much over the years. And when you look at the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, there's always been something special about them, whether it's the defense and Willie Jefferson, Zach Collaros, and now we always talk about Brady Oliveira. But one of the things that I noticed, specifically being in Winnipeg last week, was the way that Buck Pierce, my former quarterback, who is the offensive coordinator. That's right. That's my quarterback.
Don't start crying.
But what he did last week was amazing. Everybody was expecting Brady Oliveira to touch the ball early and often. But if you look at the first quarter, he barely touched the ball. But Zach Collaros was getting the ball, getting it out, getting the ball, getting it out. And it was all quick game until the defense was a little bit tired, and now Brady did his thing.
All right, that was a great start. We've got to break down this entire game throughout the day. Of course, the East and the West walk through as we send it back to Blake Price. And by the way, gentlemen, well done on matching suits for Grey Cup Saturday.
Great day.
It's called the Grey Cup. We thought we would take it literally. That's all.
There it is.
This is the 17th Grey Cup ever hosted in Vancouver, second most of any city. Just the 3rd time that BC Place has hosted it since the massive renovations took place before and after the Olympic Games, however. So it feels like they're still getting used to all the new things that are happening at BC Place. There's even more renovations planned for BC Place in the coming couple of years as well. And we've grown by 1 here at the Grey Cup Festival as BC Lions quarterback Nathan Rourke joins us. This is a fun festival. It's a fun week for everybody. It's even more fun to be playing in it, of course, Nathan. Mixed emotions, I'm sure, for you as you think about the alternate universe where you guys are involved.
Yeah, certainly a bittersweet feeling right now. I mean, we see all the festivities going on behind us and everything that Mr. Doman and the rest of the team have done. They've done a fantastic job hosting, and we really would love to be a part of it, but we've been able to enjoy the rest of it as well.
Will you watch the game?
I'll do my best to watch it. Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch it and then turn it off at some point because I might get so frustrated knowing that should have been us. That kind of feeling. But two very deserving teams, and I'm sure it'll be a great game.
Let me ask you a question. For Nick Arbuckle going in to play this football game, what do you think he's got to do to help his team win the football game?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough ask, right? Going into a game where you haven't been the starter all year. Even before Chad got back, it was him and Cameron Dukes, kind of rotating reps. But Nick's a pro. He's been doing this a long time. He's had some success against Winnipeg. And I think that Ryan Dinwiddie and the rest of the staff are going to have a great plan. And I think Nick has a chance to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, I want you to be honest about, and I like your gray suit. Kate will love that you match with us. But I really want to ask you this question. So for Zach Collaros, he's lost 2 straight Grey Cups. So there's some added pressure. Now, you're going to say, no, you just approach it like any other game. What do you do different in your approach to the game and as the game gets ready to kick off in a game that does mean as much as this one might mean for Zach Collaros?
Yeah, I mean, you look at Winnipeg, what they've accomplished in the last couple of years, right? The wins that they've gotten have not always been pretty, but great teams find ways to win even when it's ugly. Winnipeg's done that time and time again. The hottest team in the league this year. I don't think Zach Collaros and the group, they'd change much. I think they continue to play well. I thought the West Final against Saskatchewan might have been his best game all year. He's playing very well. I think they're one of those teams that started slow. They figured it out during the year, as I thought that they would. I think many of us did. And I think that they're going to be hard to stop. I think Zach goes into this like as any other week. He's been here many times before, even before he was in Winnipeg. I think he's going to have no problem.
Like any other week. The patent quarterback answer.
I know Zach. Zach is super cool. He's the top of his game. He's going to be fine.
I want to change gears a little bit here. I don't know if a lot of people know this and understand this. Your brother Curtis Rourke is playing he's playing great football at Indiana. He's got a bye week and then Ohio State next week. And he just was a finalist for the top quarterback in the country, I believe, this week. So tell us about watching your brother move up to Indiana from where he was and the success they've had.
Everything that he's doing, he learned from me. Let's get that straight. So,
yeah, that's
no, he's doing some unbelievable stuff. I've been so proud to be able to watch his development. Coming from a small school at Ohio where I was as well, following my footsteps. Now he's blazing his own trail at Indiana. They don't even know who I am, and it's great. Kurtz and Eddie, they're doing a great job in Indiana. This is the first time in school history that they're 10-0. Wow. And they're beating some really big teams. Michigan last week, Ohio State coming up in Ohio State in Columbus. I'll be at that game. I can't wait. He's really doing some really good things. He's improved as a quarterback as well, which is I'm so proud of, and he's doing a really good job.
So in a nutshell, what kind of advice are you going to give Curtis before he goes to his first NFL camp?
Oh, man, make sure you go in as a quarterback and not a receiver. Make sure if they're going to try to change it to a receiver, tell them, no, I don't want to do it. I'm a quarterback. But seriously, no, I think he's going to have a long career in the NFL. I don't think he'll be up here anytime soon, and that's okay. I don't want to play him anytime soon. So I'm really looking forward to watching it all play out.
So what advice would you give him? You were in those camps just this year.
Yeah.
And there's a definite difference between the CFL and even college and the NFL. Mm-hmm. There's got to be what can you tell him to give him a little bit of an
Yeah, I think just to be himself. I think that when you're in a pro locker room, people can see through when you're trying to be fake, when you're trying to put on a facade, especially guys who have been in the league, 5-10 years, offensive linemen that you have to lead as a young guy. I think coming in, be yourself, work really hard, study, grab a assistant coach if the head coach doesn't have a lot of time for you. Make sure you're always in his ear. I've always had some really good vets. When I got into the league, Mike Riley was a vet that I knew I could lean on. I think someone like him that you could come in and be able to ask questions to, get some things answered. Those are the type of things that I would tell him to make sure he has when he gets to the league.
You guys are going to let the media guy ask the tough question, aren't you, at the end here? It's an interesting offseason for your team right now. What are your thoughts? Nothing's going to happen immediately. Is it odd to wait for all these big decisions to be made? The quarterback, the coach, the administration. What's your mindset on?
Well, it's certainly par for the course for my 2024. I'll tell you that. So, been a lot of uncertainty, a lot of not knowing, a lot of unknown. But I will say that if it was up to me, I'd be back with the Lions. I love this organization. I want to play for Mr. Doman. This BC is home for me. I'd love to be able to have another off season under my belt, work with Jordan Jordan, Mack, the offensive coordinator, be able to, really have my locker room, right? Have an off season where we're working together. Obviously, I don't make those type of decisions, and I'm game, and I'm willing to be able to prove to anybody that I can play in this league. But I'd love for it to happen here in BC, and hopefully be able to make it happen.
Well, thanks for doing this. Really appreciate it. And I know you would have loved to have been a part of the festivities in a different way. It'll happen for you at some point. That much is sure. Thanks, Nathan. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Nathan Rourke of the BC Lions. And yes, up the BC Lions for now, at least, and expected in the future from Nathan's perspective as well. A lot of questions for the BC Lions. FanFest continues here as we count you down to the 111th Grey Cup. We'll take you through the walkthroughs at BC Place Stadium when we come back.
The season begins for Toronto.
Chad Kelly suspended for at minimum half of the regular season.
Cameron Dukes looking for big things here.
Trying to find the end zone again. A look right there. They've got it. Kadeem Carey. He's found a new home. The Argos put up their dukes.
Chad Kelly has served his 9-game suspension.
This one high in the air. Intercepted and racing to the end zone. Touchdown Red Blacks. Picked off again. It's Damon Webb. Kelly backpedaling. He gets blocked. Touchdown Red Blacks.
Just got to get better. It's a whole team effort. Professional football, you never give up.
Tries to get away. Can't. Serezna flying his way into that backfield.
Everybody on the defensive line got a sack.
The double blue come to Winnipeg and clinch a playoff spot.
It is the East Division semifinal between the Ottawa Red Blacks and Toronto Argonauts. Mackay Polk taken off. Gone for the Argo touchdown. 58 points scored. Third most in the history of the CFL playoff.
You know that these Argos want redemption from what happened at BMO Field a year ago.
Late third quarter, the Argos have lost their starting quarterback, Chad Kelly. It's in the hands of Nick Arbuckle now. And contact made, and interference is going to be called against Tyrese Beverett. And Ryan Dinwiddie's Toronto Argonauts are going to the Grey Cup.
Welcome back to Vancouver. Great look outside BC Place Stadium as we count you down to the 111th edition of the Grey Cup. Inside a chilly BC Place Stadium, there'll be a lot more warmth inside there with all the fans pouring in from around the league for the big game. Welcome back inside the festival, and we'll send you to BC Place shortly here as walkthroughs are underway for the Eastern champion Argonauts. One last chance to take a look, enjoy the surroundings, shed some nerves, and get set for the big game. With more on all that, here's Kate Burness and the panel.
The Toronto Argonauts making their way onto the field at BC Place for the final preparations ahead of the 111th Grey Cup, seeking their 19th championship in club history, and coming into this one as underdogs, which has never deterred them in the past. They have won their last 7 championship appearances, dating back to 1991. Will look to make it 8 straight against the Bombers, who have never beat them in the Grey Cup. Toronto a perfect 7-0 against Winnipeg in the big game, and this team looking very relaxed. A lot of music playing, the guys out there with their family. The walkthroughs are one of my favorite parts personally. Inside BC Place, it is Davis Sanchez, Matt Dunnigan, Enoch Mwamba, and Milt Stegall as we get set for the Argos taking on the Bombers once again in the Grey Cup. And Enoch, I'm going to start with you on this one because 2022. Don't start crying, okay?
You gotta have trophies for me to cry, okay?
We may have brought them, but needless to say, you were in that game and you've been through these walkthroughs before. What's going on with this team right now?
At this point, this day cannot go fast enough. I mean, you've gone through all the preparation and you've practiced and practiced and practiced and studied. And right now, you exhale a little bit, but the big day is on its way, and you can't wait to get through this day.
Enoch, I can say I equate it to food, like a crock pot. You throw a roast in a crock pot all season long. You lift up the lid after about 8 hours and you check whether it's ready or not. Is it tender enough? And out here, that's what's going on, right? You said letting a little steam off and letting guys relax a little bit because tensions are high, and it's all on the line tomorrow. And this here is nothing but just some of that and checking whether or not that roast is ready.
I always felt like there was 2 separate times in regards to all these walkthroughs. There was lock-in time, and then there was family and kind of talking to your guys time. And they were always clear to me. And it could be, in an hour, half an hour, could be lock-in, half hour, could be shooting this stuff with my guys. But, you got to I always felt like mixing it up and having both of those times. If you're too dialed in, and you ramp up too early, or if you're not having fun, it's just I like to really mix this time up and have fun. You see it. Some guys are quiet right out here, and some guys are talking to their teammates and playing with their family.
Yeah, for me, it was more relaxed. Like during the week, I was really intense, really focused. Really didn't want to deal with family or friends, but this was the day where I said, okay, I can't do anything else. All the preparation I could do is done. If it was good enough, it was. Unfortunately, it wasn't good enough. I lost both of my playing, but it was always good to just get out there and relax and be with family, be with friends, have some memories that you can't get back. So I see the players doing that, out there enjoying themselves, and I'm happy for them.
Is this something new? And it's because if it's not in your routine, then I don't want it out there. I don't want to be a part of this. You know, I want consistency, and if this is what the Argonauts do the day before every game, then fill your boots. But if it's not, then I got an issue with it, you know, because I just want to be locked in at this point. Don't get near me. I just want to go play the game.
This is definitely different. I mean, Coach Dinwiddie's trying to involve as many of the families as possible, a lot of the kids. A lot of these kids weren't there in 2022, I'll tell you that as well. But I think he's trying to just get everybody to loosen up and get a little bit lax, because I know this whole week has been extremely tight. They were stuck at the hotel studying and practicing, like I mentioned earlier. And, you know, the families just got in town last night, so he allowed them to share the time together.
What's going on right now, getting that team picked.
And as you said, too, this is something we see. We see the relaxed look, the team photo. We got the family on the field as well. But we've also seen other teams like run drills, like go into formation. Like, it's just amazing to see the different teams over the year and how they approach this day.
Absolutely, that's the way it is. I mean, like you said, KB, everyone or Mill said, guys, it's everyone handles this differently, right? And I don't think there's a right way or a wrong way. It's your way, and it's fun. Like, you got to enjoy these things. That's one thing, and we always look back on it. You got to enjoy it, because you might never get back there again. You might play in 10 of them, but you got to enjoy it.
And regardless the approach you have, it's not going to have any impact on the game. If you're serious, if you're joking, it's not going to have any impact on the game. The best team is going to win tomorrow, and it's not based on they were joking around with family and friends. If they were out there running drill, running plays, it has no impact on what's going to happen tomorrow afternoon.
I think what is unique here when we look at this team picture is there's a lot of guys that aren't on the roster that are here intermingling, and I think that's a huge tip of the cap to Ryan Dinwiddie and the Argonauts for bringing those guys along, and because they're a part of it. They're an important part of it, the part you don't see all season long.
All right, let's get you down to the field and join our Matthew Shinetti, who is standing by with Argos QB Nick Arbuckle.
Well, I got to ask you, Nick, I've known you for a few years, and knowing how significant this event is and really being thrust in it like you have been, how have you been emotionally processing it over the last few days? And are you superstitious before games like this?
No, I'm not a very superstitious guy at all. I just kind of do whatever I feel like the moment needs to get myself ready, to get the guys ready. A lot of my preparation and readiness kind of falls on feeling like we're ready as a team, and everybody around me is locked in and in whatever state they need to be in to perform well. And I feel like we got that. So just a lot of confidence I feel around the entire team going forward.
You talk about the preparation. Let's talk about a significant group on this team. The 2018 Calgary Stampeder winning team. There's a lot of members on this team. Yourself, Wint McManus, Florian Arumalade. What has that group brought to this team that has allowed you guys really all week to be relaxed, to enjoy this, to have the level of excitement I haven't seen out of an Argos team at a Grey Cup maybe since 2012?
Man, they're all an incredible leadership group. And it's been that way since the moment I showed up. And, that just speaks a ton on them individually. And then I think the experience they can draw from being part of the Grey Cup before, 2022, but as well, for Winton, for Flo, myself, even RD, and Davaris, and we were all in this moment early in our career, but in a much different role. Winton and Flo, were still working as young players, trying to establish themselves, and, kind of role player guys that were great in the role they did, but they weren't, the team leader, aspect at that time in their career. And then same with myself, I was a rookie, and just trying to learn from Bo and learn from the guys around me and RD, as our quarterback coach. It's just a beautiful moment and a blessing to kind of see how everybody has grown and everybody has taken from the experiences they've learned, from the good things, from the bad things that they take from other players and other captains that they've learned, to just become authentically who they are to lead this team. It's been a great opportunity to be a part of it, to have a little hand in what we've done and what we're trying to accomplish. And it's just exciting to be out here with everybody.
And now the stage is yours. We'll see you tomorrow, Nick.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
We talked a lot this week about Nick Arbuckle and the pressure on him in this game, but then we also spoke about what's around him. And basically, he just needs to do what he did in the Eastern Final, and that was control the game. He played quite well, and then rely on everything else that's so good about this team. We know Janarian Grant on special teams, they've been great, but defensively, Enoch, this team has been phenomenal. We've seen him a bunch of times with Wynton McManus, and obviously he also, spoke about flow there too. But this D is so good, and they should rely a lot on that too.
Well, let's be honest, Kate. This is a defensive-led team, and Wynton McManus being the leader of that defense, he does a lot for this team. But one of the things that Nick was talking about, this team was at this stage in 2022, but he didn't play. People don't remember that, but he didn't play right next to me. And he got injured prior to this game. And I talked to him throughout this week, and he was saying, man, he's excited. Flo also mentioned to me the other night at the awards, hey, I haven't been here with this crew yet. And I had to remember that Flo wasn't on the team in 2022. So as special as this might be for a lot of people just getting here, we know how much of a privilege it is to play at this stage where every other team is watching you. There's a few guys that really want this bad, Matty.
And Wynton McManus is a big part in helping young guys like Isaac D'Angelo and Mark Milton, two first-year players who weren't here 2 years ago. They didn't even play in the CFL. It's the first time out. So those young guys will be leaning on a veteran guy in the middle. And what a difference Wynton McManus made when he came back in the lineup and really solidified this team down the stretch. And he's going to be paramount with D'Angelo and Milton and the secondary first-year players going through the first time. So they're going to have to lean heavy on that veteran leadership.
Yeah, and this defense is really going to have to continue playing well for these Argonauts to have a chance to win. And it starts with those guys up front. Of course, we know what Janarian Grant can do when he has the ball in his hand. I think they'll get him more involved in that offense, but that defensive line, they had 4 guys with 6 sacks or more. They get after the quarterback. They got after Winnipeg to the tune of 12 sacks in 2 games. If they can do that, they got a great chance of winning this game. If they can totally disrupt Zach Collaros, they're going to control this line of scrimmage. They can do that. They win this game, Chaz.
That boundary side is Milton and Franklin. And look at the depth chart here. You got 2 guys in the boundary. It's their first Grey Cup. Now you got in the field, it's 3 veterans that played in lots of big games. So that's what I'm looking at. And I'm telling, as a veteran guy, I'm telling Milton and Franklin, I'm talking to them about communication. Because we don't want to say it's just another game and keep things the same. But one thing you can't do, let anything slip. A miscommunication, lack of an understanding of a call, and next thing you know, that costs you a championship. So really, I used to always say, over-communicate, and that's what I always tell the young guys, over-communicate, especially early.
Davis, excuse me, kid, that's what I was talking about, was the importance of Wynton McManus in the middle with that weak side alone. D'Angelo, Milton, and Franklin.
Yeah.
You talk about communication. If I'm a quarterback, the opposition offensive coordinator, I'm looking at those 3 guys, and I'm going to go to work right there.
All right, speaking of going to work, let's send it back downstairs, and Matthew's standing by with Wynton McManus.
You talk about work, Kate. You notice what Wynton McManus is wearing. That hard hat is what Ryan Dinwiddie gives out to the player. That exemplifies the effort the Argos want to put out game in and game out. And if I'm going to talk about the emotional state of the Toronto Argonauts, who better to talk than Wynton McManus? There's a lot of joy around here. That's been that way, not just this week, not just the East Final, not just the East Semi. I've noticed the last month and a half that the guys are just loving being together. Where did that start? And have you noticed that just pick up week after week?
Yeah, man, it started from up top. It started from head coach RD, and that's kind of the culture that we built around here. And, it just goes into the work that we put in. Everybody feels good. Everybody's confident. Everybody's encouraged. And, we're just ready to go. We want to be loose. We don't want to be uptight. Don't make the game bigger than what it is, man. And, be yourself. So this is what you're seeing. This is the Argos being themselves out here right now.
So how are you going to be yourself? Enoch Mwamba was on our panel. and he was there during the 2022 Grey Cup. You weren't able to be in the capacity that you wanted to be. What does this game mean to you now, knowing that you're going to lead the team out, knowing that you're going to have a role like Enoch had in that 2022 team, like Alex Singleton had in the 2018 Calgary Stampeders team that you were on? How are you emotionally preparing yourself for that?
First, I'd say shout out Enoch, man. I see you doing your thing up there. And, you know, just like I said, encouraged. I'm excited, you know, ready to go. You know, I got some jitters, I got some butterflies, got some answers, you know, but, you know, all of that will end as soon as I step on the field, man. It's just a real feeling. You know, just blessed to be here, ready to go, man. If you can't really tell, I'm kind of shaking right now a little bit. Not from nervousness, but from excitement.
Great business tomorrow, great energy. We'll see you tomorrow, Win.
Great business, man. A great way only.
You know, it's hard not to like Win. We've been talking about him all season long, the toothpick, the hard hat, and he's just come to work all season long. And you know what, good too, that he's honest, Milt, about the fact that he is a little bit nervous going into tomorrow. And we mentioned he wasn't able to play in that 2022 Grey Cup, and this is huge for him.
Yes, without a doubt. And in my opinion, if you're not nervous, you're not ready. And it's great that he can admit that. Yes, he is the leader of his team. Yes, he understands what's at stake, and you know he has to be somewhat anxious because he, as Matthew mentioned, he didn't play that 2022 game when Enoch went off and had you know, MOP and top Canadian. So he's going to try to go out there and do everything in his power to make sure this team wins this game. And as we've seen in the playoffs, this man finds a way to get around the ball and make some plays.
As you talked about communication, and this is one of the things that Wynton McManus absolutely thrives in. This is one of the things he always harps on, and he talks about great business. One of the things he always says when you're standing next to him, he tells everybody, talk to me, I'll talk back, and that's what he mentions all the time. And you talk about communication, it is going to be absolutely important tomorrow as things get going.
How important is it for Serezna and Holly just to, we talk about the Winnipeg offensive line and how they get off those D linemen and get on linebackers. All this chatter about Wynton McManus, it might not matter if Holly and Serezna can't handle those interior guys and keep them off of Wynton, because Wynton's not the biggest guy. He's fast, he's got instinct, but he's not the biggest guy. That guy right there, big 94, and Holly, they have got to be huge at taking on those two interior guys or three interior guys of the Winnipeg O-line and keeping them off their linebacker.
And you look at Jake Serezna, 6 years in the league from Cortland State, and it's his first Grey Cup. And you know he's jacked up. And what has made this football team outstanding is the rotation that they have in that D-line and how they spell one another. And they're going to have to do that against the Bombers. You know, you're going to have Brinkman in there, Hanson, Smith, and you're going to have Parrish and Ramalade, of course. But this football team, they rotate in and out, trying to stay fresh to handle that big offensive line of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
You know, I'm loving the look of these Argos, too. We got the sunglasses with Kadeem Cash and Carey. We saw what Wynton looks like. I have no idea how Jake Serezna is wearing short shorts.
Oh, my goodness.
It is like -10 inside BC Place right now. I know that they're keeping it nice and cool, but I wasn't expecting for this to feel like Winnipeg at this point.
Those are Daisy Dukes.
Look at that boy with them Daisy Dukes on. What you do?
All right,
Jake.
the Argos looking nice and relaxed. We'll see how the Bombers feel in a couple hours' time as we send it back to Blake Price.
Let's go.
Thanks so much, Kate. And we are back with yet another new guest, Bo Levi Mitchell, who'll be in and out throughout the course of the day. So welcome, Bo, to the panel. And let's get into probably the biggest story of the day. I don't think we can make too much of the Nick Arbuckle story and what this means for the Argonauts. So let's just start with this. How much does Ryan Dinwiddie have to move things around, move around the chess pieces, because it's Nick Arbuckle versus Jack Yeller?
Well, what I can tell you is the biggest adjustment he has to make is keep Nick Arbuckle out of the weight room. All right, no jokes aside. 2018 West Final, he walks up to me. I'm starting, he's the backup. He goes, hey, Bo, you might have to do short yardage today. And I looked at him, I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, I just hurt my back doing deadlift. And I looked at him, I was like, dude, can you just be normal? But no, being serious, give him a chance to get confident, right? Get into 6-0 line sets, give him a chance to get out there, throw some one-on-one balls against some of these corners. There's not a lot of open passes against this Winnipeg defense. Give him a chance to build confidence, because when Nick Arbuckle is confident, he can be a very good quarterback.
I'll tell you what I think is real important is the run game, obviously. Kadeem Carey, 2 games, he averaged about 50 yards rushing in each game. But you have to run the ball creatively, because the Winnipeg defense knows that Kadeem Carey up the middle, they're going to be ready for. So they have to have some creative wrong way runs, misdirection plays, get McMahon involved, get some run game going that's not traditional run, that can protect your core runs, give you an opportunity to help Nick put him in some second and short situations, because second and long, Jim, as you know, against this Winnipeg defense is tough to be in.
Well, there's no doubt, but I think Bo had a really great point. We have no idea how Nick Arbuckle's going to play. I guarantee you that Toronto Argonaut football team has no idea how Nick Arbuckle's going to play. So how he comes out and starts the game, the kind of poise he has, are they putting the ball on the ground? That's going to play so importantly to their defense, because when you have a defense that's not playing well, Bo, as you found out the first 5 games of the year, it's tough playing quarterback. You got to score every time. If you're a defense and they're giving the ball up and you don't feel like your offense is going to move the ball, it really does affect the way your football team plays. So I think the start that Ryan Dinwiddie calls to get him going and to keep him out of trouble is crucial.
Yeah, absolutely. If you have the chance to sit back and watch the defense play great, and you have a great chance to just say, you know what, I can get the ball to my guys, be a point guard, facilitate the offense, allow yourself to build that confidence, and when you do, man, the game just starts to feel easy.
And I like your point, because they can't play scared. They're going to let him throw the football on first down, because like I said, like second down, nobody can throw the ball against this football team. So he's got to take some shots on 1st and 10. Like you talked about, those corners are in some one-on-one situations.
Absolutely.
He's got to give him an opportunity to be a quarterback, not a game manager. He's got to be able to make some throws downfield.
It's one game, guys, and when there's so much on the line, you just never know what's going to happen in this one game. Cinderella stories happen all the time, and maybe that's what's going to happen here for Nick Arbuckle. And you can bet Ryan Dinwiddie has some words of wisdom. Few his career starts entering a Grey Cup. Look who's at the top of that list. Ryan Dinwiddie has been there and done that and can certainly speak to it. Who's in the middle of that list? Levi Mitchell.
Levi Mitchell.
Might be the only one that won one of those Grey Cups.
There you go.
Yeah.
Get in there as a consultant, perhaps, for Nick Arbuckle.
2009, there it is, 13th man.
Well, we'll see how much experience plays a role. Those with even less experience getting into the swing of things here on Grey Cup Saturday, getting set for the big one. Sign them. High steppers. We're back with lots more.
Chad Kelly, obviously a difficult guy to replace the rating MOP.
And Arbuckle, a veteran, yes, but not in this kind of playoff situation. And it's caught by David Unger. Big first down, Toronto.
What a gutsy throw here from Nick Arbuckle.
They lost their quarterback, but they won the game. Toronto Argonauts are going to the Grey Cup.
This isn't our goal. This team was just in our way. We're on our way to what we were trying to accomplish this whole season.
We are back for Grey Cup Saturday here on TSN. Counting you down to the 111th edition of the big game. And with more on the quarterbacking story, here's Farhan Lalji and Dave Naylor, our insiders.
Lots going on league-wide on the quarterback topic, and let's start here in BC. We know who the starter is going to be in Nathan Rourke, but the big question is Vernon Adams. Where does he go? When does he go, Dave? And I think that's going to happen fairly quickly here. I don't think anybody wants to wait. You're going to wait for general managers and coaches to get hired, but then in the end, I think Vernon Adams gets traded late November, early December, and I think the biggest candidate to land his services, the Calgary Stampeders. I think there's a real interest in both parties and potentially uniting there, because Dave Dickinson's always been a fan of the player. The Calgary Stampeders did add P.J. Walker late on their practice roster and then signed a deal going into next year, but that contract is very team-friendly. A lot of incentives there. It's not going to prevent them from bringing in a guy like Vernon, and also he's got a strong relationship with Bo Baldwin, the quarterback coach in Calgary, who was his head coach at Eastern Washington. It looks like Bo's going to be back, and again, there will be other interest in Vernon Adams, but I think Calgary's going to top the list.
Yeah, certainly. Ideally, they might want to trade him to the East Division, but it doesn't look like there would be a landing spot for him there. And of course, one of the teams we're keeping our eye on is the Edmonton Elks. And of course, you know, they have had Tre Ford. He's been their spot starter. There's been a lot of opinion in the market among fans and media that want to see him get more of an opportunity. And I mean, Tre Ford, he owns a home in Edmonton. You know, it would be a logical place for him as they move into this next era. The big issue is we don't know who the general manager and head coach is going to be for certain in that circumstance. A lot of speculation that Ed Hervey will be the general manager there whether he would bring Rick Campbell over if Rick Campbell lets go in BC. We don't know if that's going to happen for sure. So I think it's a wait and see with Tre Ford. The interesting thing about this is, there's a pretty good glut of capable quarterbacks on the market right now. If Tre Ford doesn't come back to Edmonton, I'm not sure there's another place in the league right now where he lands as a starter.
No, that's a fair point. And when you look at how it's playing out, I think if Geroy Simon is the GM there, I think he does want to bring Tre Ford back, but not necessarily give him the keys to the car and make him the undisputed starter. And my understanding is it's a similar position for Ed Hervey. I think he believes he can cultivate him and potentially work with him. I think he's a fan of the player. But again, I'm not sure they want to give him the keys to the car and make him the undisputed starter. But even in a 1A, 1B scenario, Edmonton still might be the best, most favorable landing spot for Tre Ford. Now, as far as Saskatchewan is concerned, I do think that Trevor Harris is going to be back in green this year. There had been some thought that maybe VA would be a possibility in Saskatchewan or Edmonton, but I think the first priority in Saskatchewan is to get Trevor Harris back, and I think he wants to be back. He said at the end of the year he's got to discuss it with his family, see where he's at in that regard. His family is fully supportive. That is one check mark that has been hit. And for Trevor, he doesn't want to necessarily go in on a one-year deal and make this his swan song. I think he believes that he can play 3, maybe even 5 years. So he's still waiting a little bit, making sure his body responds the way he wants, but he wants to come back next year in very, very good shape. I think Saskatchewan, I think the front office and the coaching staff is in alignment that if it can work out, they would like to get Trevor Harris back. So he's going to be a free agent, but I would be shocked if Trevor Harris is not back as the starter on a multi-year deal in Saskatchewan.
Yeah, intriguing situation in Montreal where you've got Cody Fajardo, who's been the starter there for the last 2 seasons, won the Grey Cup last year, won the East Division, was the prohibitive favorite for the league's most outstanding player for about 12-15 weeks of the season, and had an 18-1 stretch, the greatest 19-game run in CFL history. But will Cody Fajardo be the starting quarterback of the Montreal Alouettes? What's forcing this decision is their backup, Davis Alexander, who played really well in spot duty. A younger quarterback, a guy that has a lot of talent. I think other teams around the league are eyeing him. The Owls aren't sure they can bring them both back, and that's going to force a decision here. Do they want to hitch their wagon to Davis Alexander in the future, or are they going to keep it with Cody Fajardo? There's a possibility they could get both guys back, put them on lower base salaries, and have playtime money as the sort of the variable in it. The problem with that is I think Montreal, like some teams, is very cautious about getting into that week-to-week who's our starter going to be conversation. We've seen in other instances that doesn't really help with team building. I think the Owls would like to know, hey, this is our guy. We're not going to be on a week-to-week, month-to-month necessarily, so I think they're going to make a case one way or the other.
Yeah, and when you look at Cody Fajardo and the fact that he's been a Grey Cup MOP, it's hard to walk away from that, but they know the talent that Davis Alexander possesses. I think the entire league knows this guy could be the next great one, and it would be hard for Montreal to let him out of the building at this stage. Meanwhile, in Hamilton, I'm not sure they're going to let Levi Mitchell out of the building unless we don't let him out of the building here in Vancouver, but Bo is going into the final year of his contract, but I do expect there to be a renegotiation. If you'd have asked us 6 weeks ago, Dave, we would have both been surprised that if Hamilton would bring Bo back. But now, given how he finished, the fact that he was the East finalist for MOP, was a CFL All-Star, I think that the Ticats would like to have him back. I think he wants to be back. I just think from a contractual standpoint, he hit a lot of incentives this year. I think he'd like to turn some of those incentives into base salary. It's not necessarily going to be that he wants to get back into the $500,000 range. I think it's manageable. He just wants it in guarantees.
You know, and I think a lot of people look at the statistical season that Bo Levi Mitchell had, leading the league in touchdowns and passing yards and all that. The other dynamic there, I think, is just the way that team rallied around him in the second half of the season. Ticats management saw that, and that's a big part of why they want to bring him back next season.
We're still here for the next 3 hours or so at the Grey Cup Festival, but the game itself, Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific time. You'll be able to watch it on TSN and CTV. It's the Argonauts and the Blue Bombers. Same as 2 years ago. We'll see who comes out on top this time around. We've let the boys loose, and there's a tailwind for Lapo. I think there's a tailwind. I don't think there's any risk of them being signed away from their current occupations, including Bo Levi Mitchell. They're both good. We're getting into the dynasty of the Blue Bombers when we come back.
Love you.
Zach Collaros, since joining the team back in 2019, has done nothing but win.
Open receiver, touchdown, Winnipeg. Just like that.
Collaros, end zone shot. Dembski got it. Touchdown, Winnipeg.
so good. Zach Collaros does it again.
What a show from Zach Collaros!
It's about the big game on Sunday, but fans having a ball all week long at the Grey Cup Festival. All sorts of fun and games and shenanigans for everybody to be up to. But they're all eyes on Blue Bombers Nation and whether or not they can get their third Grey Cup win in their last 5 visits.
They have put the win back in Winnipeg. The Blue Bombers, 2019 Grey Cup champions.
So proud of my teammates, my city. I love you guys. Come home with that cup. Woo!
Oh, nearly intercepted. It is! And it's over. Back-to-back Winnipeg Grey Cup champions 2021.
It wasn't pretty, but, you know, that's the kind of football we play.
Chance to make it 3 championships in 5 years.
It's a bit of a fulcrum game, isn't it, for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers as they try to win for the 3rd time in the last 5 seasons. You lose the game, however, and it's 3 losses. It's the majority in the last 5 years. Swing game for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. With more on the dynasty, here's Matthew Shinetti.
The Winnipeg Blue Bombers are a dynasty. Only Edmonton over 40 years ago managed to make 6 Grey Cups in a row. The Bombers have averaged 12 wins a season during this run, about half a win more than those Edmonton teams. 4 division titles to 6, and each team had their legendary QBs. Edmonton had Tom Wilkinson and Warren Moon, and Winnipeg finally started winning when Zach Collaros arrived. But the one thing Winnipeg's dynasty doesn't have is Edmonton's Grey Cup near perfection, going 5-1 in their 6 consecutive championship games. Up to this point, Winnipeg is 2-2, including back-to-back defeats.
Blocked at a critical moment in this Grey Cup. The dynasty is denied. The Bombers must be stunned. It's on! Touchdown! Tyson Philpott!
Second straight year that they leave this game feeling the exact same way.
If a dynasty is a succession of players excelling year after year, resilience is something every dynasty must have to endure. Nothing is ever perfect. An 0-4 start didn't sway the belief that this team has at its core. Since then, they've gone 11-3 and showed with every Brady Oliveira run, Kenny Lawler catch, or Tyrell Ford interception why this team has dominated the CFL these last 5 seasons.
And the Bombers are going back to the Grey Cup again.
This is a team that is poised to make history.
Now back in their familiar mid-November spot, it's imperative the Bombers cement their legacy with a 3rd Grey Cup title.
Back at the Grey Cup Festival with the fabulous panel, the coaches, Levi Mitchell alongside in just a second to talk about the Grey Cup legacy/dynasty. And it's one thing to get there, it's another thing to win it. Edmonton, as Matthew pointed out, 5 Grey Cup wins. Regina went 5 straight times. Did not get it back in the Leatherhead days of 28-32. So Winnipeg trying to establish themselves maybe as the 2nd most prolific dynasty in CFL history. Guys, I think about the Montreal Alouettes. They went 8 times in 11 years, but only got 3 Grey Cup wins. It is a tough trophy to win, Lapo.
I don't think there's any added pressure for Zach Collaros. And people say, well, you know, he's going to get another loss possibly. You cannot live in the past. He has a lot of pressure to win this football game, but it's for the players he's working with this season, for where they started when they were bad beginning of the year to how good they've gotten. Like, there's a lot of pressure to win for this unit, but you don't go backwards. You can't hurt yourself by thinking of legacy. You don't talk legacy at this time. You don't talk. That's for us in the media to talk about. The players don't talk like that. I know Mike O'Shea, working with him all those years, he doesn't talk about legacy and this is what's going to happen, right? That's a media thing. But he's got to just figure out, Bo, that what he's going to make sure he can do is this game and not worry about the past.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in this situation, okay? I lost in 16, I lost in 17, and we were 15-2-1, we were 14-4, and we thought we were going to walk in there and wax the floor with those teams. So just like you said, Blake, this game, it's a one-time thing. It's best team that day. I don't believe the extra pressure is on Zach Collaros, because I think just like myself in 2018, I was dialed, I was locked in, I was ready. All I was thinking about was those first 15 plays. I know I'm going to go out there and execute. You watch the way he played right there in the West Final. Zach Collaros is going to be ready. Is everybody else wearing double blue going to be ready to match that energy?
Well, you know, you're a quarterback, and I understand that you're not going to change a lot. But the idea of going there and losing for a third time, it just gets into your mind. And we know the last two Grey Cups, he hasn't played his best football. Now in 22, he was injured. He had a bad ankle, and he played valiantly on it. I was with Toronto at the time, and I thought he played very well. But he still didn't play at Zach Collaros' level. And last year, obviously, he didn't play to where he believed he should play. So now when he gets in this game, if things don't start well for him, is he going to say, oh no, here we go again? Or is he going to just continue to chop away the way that Zach Collaros can? Again, the thing that makes them great is their ability to make big plays. They'll pound Oliveira and all that, but they make big plays, and those come from Zach Collaros delivering it to Kenny Lawler and to Nick Dembski down the field.
Yeah, and the thing that's hurt them the last couple years is his ability to try to make that big play, and he throws an interception or he turns the ball over. He's just got to be careful with the football, and I think they win their Grey Cup.
Well, the pressure he's going to feel from that front, from that defensive line, that pressure is going to play a factor in how he plays.
So much acclaim, so much success already in the career of Zach Collaros, but you do get judged on your performance in these big games, and he's going to get that as well, of course, as you look back at what he has done in each of these games. And, you know, the woulda, coulda, shouldas at the end of your career on, if you just made that one play, does one of these games swing in your direction and you get more wins than losses? With more on the performances of individual players and how to use that to your advantage, Eric Korolnik.
Seemingly no one across the country is backing the Toronto Argonauts ahead of the 111th Grey Cup from here in Vancouver. But here's the thing about Grey Cups. They lend themselves to wacky games year after year, and I think this one could, in fact, be a very, very similar result. The Grey Cup, the last 8 of the last 11 Grey Cups have been covered by the underdog. The Argos, a 9.5-point underdog on Sunday. FanDuel listing Winnipeg as a minus 420 favorite. That's an implied probability of 81%. We've seen big upsets in the past, including last year with Montreal, the Argonauts in 2017, the Ottawa Redblacks in 2016. Don't discount the possibility that the Toronto Argonauts could do it on Sunday. Nick Arbuckle, experienced, and this is an Argonauts defense that can generate pressure on the quarterback. 12 sacks in the 2 games they played against Winnipeg. Both wins this year. The Argos are big dogs, but do not discount the possibility that they could stage the upset on Grey Cup Sunday.
Thanks, AK. And we're getting you set for the 111th Grey Cup and perhaps finding some CFL stars of the future along the way as well. 2 years ago, giving the Argos all that experience. Can the upset be there? They're reaching for the stars.
Welcome to the 109th Grey Cup on TSN. Over the head. Second Argos. Enoch Mwamba has it. Winnipeg will take the lead. Blocked at a critical moment of this Grey Cup. And one of the oldest trophies in Canada's history will go to one of its oldest franchises. The Toronto Argonauts have won the 2022 Grey Cup.
Outside BC Play Stadium, still enjoying the outdoors as we get you set for the 111th Grey Cup. The Argos and the Blue Bombers in the spotlight, but it's a celebration of the entire Canadian Football League all week long.
This has been a different team with number 2 at the helm.
Now he's trying to get away, and he does. Now down the field. Got him in. Ford, will he take off himself? No. Touchdown, Edmonton. The Elks go back on top with 34 seconds left. Ford. Ooh, a nice move. Wow, out of the pocket.
That's an unbelievable move in the open field. If we want trade, chants are beginning. This guy and his star power in this game. He will be the face of this franchise.
I'll try to quarterback this segment because there's 2 at the panel right now. Levi Mitchell, of course, is back. And Tre Ford of the Edmonton Elks joins us as well. Tre, appropriately, your band and cheerleaders are behind you here. And it's
you brought them with you, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Is this how you arrive in every room? Talk about the week that you've seen here. You'd love to be playing in this one, but the experience overall here this week, what have you seen?
Yeah, I mean, it's been fantastic. I've seen a lot of great football players. With the ones that came here and did the media marketing that I've been doing. I was able to see my brother and stuff go out for dinner, which was kind of cool. It's been a great experience, and being able to actually see BC has been phenomenal. Every time I come here, right, you're in game mode. I'm looking at my plays and stuff. I'm not actually going out and exploring, so it's been cool.
We had Nathan Rourke on earlier, the unicorn, if you will, award-winning Canadian quarterback. You're the Pegasus, I guess, the Canadian-trained Canadian quarterback. Can you allow your brain to go down the road of what it would be like to be you in a game like this?
Yeah, honestly, I think it would be a great accomplishment, right? To be able to play in a Grey Cup, I think that's huge for any quarterback, right? Not just one that's grown up in Canada, but only played Canadian football. So I think that'd be big for me and just big for the Canadian quarterback in general.
I want to know, you got your brother playing in the game. Are you going to be able to swallow the pride and put on a Winnipeg jersey with your last name on the back of it?
I don't want to, but if he really wants me to, I could throw on the 30 jersey. I'll pretend I'm colorblind and can't see the color, but I could definitely wear it if he needs me to.
Another question I have for you. Has your brother asked you for any advice? Hey, bro, what do you see on film? How do you think Toronto's going to attack me? What do you think I can work on? Y'all have that kind of relationship?
To an extent, but he's so confident in his abilities. He's not asking for any help. He's like, bro, honestly, it doesn't matter who's out there. I'm locking him up regardless. So
I saw that was awesome when we threw together, man. Y'all's relationship, the confidence together, it's amazing to watch. But you gotta say congratulations to the Ford family. Hopefully he gets the first one, and hopefully you get to follow soon after, brother.
Yeah, that's the plan. If he gets one, I definitely have to get one. I gotta catch up. I can't be in trail for too long.
Oh yeah.
What do you make of the Nick Arbuckle story? You've had the experience yourself, sometimes holding the clipboard, sometimes getting into the starter's role here. What do you think's going on in his head right now?
I think he prepares really well from, the time we had in Edmonton. I thought he was really good at his preparation. And I feel like he's kind of been in this backup starter role, kind of going back and forth for a while. So I think he'll definitely be prepared. I do hope him success, but I also do hope Winnipeg wins for Tyrell. So.
An off-season of question marks, perhaps, for yourself? What's that like to go into an off-season with a little bit of uncertainty?
Yeah, no, I think there's definitely a lot of uncertainty, but I don't think it's just for Edmonton. I think it's around the league, right? I think a lot of teams have to figure a lot of things out. So I'm going to wait till some more pieces start to fall in. And right now I'm just focused on my family, supporting my brother here in the Grey Cup, and just having a good offseason.
Yeah, keep having fun, man. Every time you get in a game, you win. You make a huge play, a highlight. I like to try to recreate. But every time I try to do it, Coach tells me to stop running around looking like a crazy person. So I appreciate you, man. Appreciate the way you've been playing, too, man. It's fun to watch.
Thank you. I appreciate that, coming from the legend himself.
Yeah, we've had some fun together this week, man, I just... The one thing I see every time I see you is the force you throw the ball with, man. Everything you do, the confidence, just keep that rolling, but make sure you send your brother some good vibes from us.
100%. I appreciate you guys.
Tre, thanks for doing this. Appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of the week and cheering on your brother.
Perfect. Thank you.
Tre Ford of the Edmonton Elks as we get set for the 111th edition of the Grey Cup. And boy, did Tre and company do well with the Edmonton offense. Second in the regular season in terms of points per game, and which shocked Levi Mitchell, who he was a little bit dismayed that he was down in the 3 spot, but we will make a yardage one for you too, Bo. You may be in a different slot there. So lots of room for success there for Edmonton going forward. But Toronto's on top, and to be successful without Chad Kelly, well, we need to reach into the coach's playbook with Paul Lapalisse.
Here are three things that I think that are really going to be important for this football game is in the run game. The Argonauts got to do what I call using big team sets or extra offensive linemen and extra fullbacks. And what does that happen? When you do that, you end up having extra players at the line of scrimmage, and you got to bring more defensive backs into the line of scrimmage. When that happens, now it creates more opportunities for you to run the ball, and you get those smaller defensive backs in the game. The next thing that extra lineman gives you, it just creates opportunities. You see this run right here, Deep Carey here, run over Big Hill. It just makes everything harder for the defensive linemen as you stretch these gaps. And running the football is going to be important. I already talked about you better protect some of these ones with some misdirection. Now, number two, when you have those extra condensed formations, it allows you to take one-on-one shots on the outside. That's what's happened the last time they played. This is the week 8, a couple of deep shots downfield. Why? Because all the defensive backs have to go inside to play the run. You put those corners in one-on-one situations. Saw Cameron Dukes do it right there. Here's Nick Arbuckle in the game. Takes this is a 14-yard gain, but it's an easy read for a young quarterback because you're just attacking the perimeter. And my third point, one of the best football players on this football team for the Argos is Janarian Grant. I would have some type of plays set up for him. You can see last week, here's an 11-yard run he had. And again, at the end of the year, they have a list of plays that Janarian's done throughout the course of the season. It's very easy to go through a walkthrough, make sure he's prepared for those, because bottom line, at the end of the game, you got to get the ball in the hands of your playmakers. And I got a funny story to talk about that. 2019, I'm the offensive coordinator of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and I'm trying to figure out what's the first call of the Grey Cup, and I didn't have it. Normally I do. It's the morning of the Grey Cup. But then I thought about players. Janarian Grant was the first carry. I gave him a wrong way run. He got 12 yards, so they should be thinking about players, not plays.
Lapo will turn to the cheer team here shortly. We'll have a front row seat for that, hopefully. While the festivities, the annual traditions continue at the festival for the 111th Grey Cup. Back with more in a moment.
Dale, rompe. Rompe, rompe. Dale, dale, dale. Rompe, rompe.
I'm a supporter. Are you?
It's counting down, and we can feel it here at the Grey Cup Festival. Climbing walls, skills tests, you can do it all here at the 111th Grey Cup Festival. Fun being had by all as we get you set for the big game on Sunday inside BC Place Stadium. And we can't wait to chat some more football. And let's head to the insiders now with Farhan Lalji and Dave Naylor.
Thank you, Blake. Of course, all the attention this weekend is on the 111th Grey Cup game Sunday evening. But the other thing, Farhan, once we get to Monday, the calendar flips. Locally, the focus is going to be on the future of BC Lions head coach Rick Campbell. What's your sense of where this is headed?
Well, I think there hasn't been a decision made quite yet. Now, look, everybody believes that the Lions are going to make a coaching change. Things might be trending in that direction, but I do believe President Dwayne Vigneault and team owner Amar Doman, when they both told me that, look, we haven't made the decision yet, we haven't gone through the process yet, and they didn't want to do that intentionally because it's Grey Cup. They didn't want to take the attention away from that. Campbell's got one more year on his deal. I certainly believe that there are going to be some changes in the front office above Rick Campbell. Assistant GM Ryan Rigmaiden is expected to be elevated into a co-GM role or maybe a GM role. Neil Campbell is certainly going to be back either in the same role or potentially elevated as well. So as far as Rick Campbell is concerned, we'll see where that goes. But I can understand why people believe a change is going to be made, even if it's not just at the head coaching spot. With the coordinators, with the assistants, I do think change is coming in BC.
Yeah, and I think a lot of sense that if Rick Campbell was let go by the BC Lions, that the logical landing space for him might be in Edmonton, particularly if the new general manager there is Ed Hervey. Of course, Ed Hervey, a longtime Edmonton player, and was the GM there when they won the Grey Cup in 2015. He's currently the GM in Hamilton, but certainly the prevailing opinion around the league is that Ed Hervey will be the next GM in Edmonton, and that's where the Rick Campbell connection comes in.
Yeah, and they've been there, done that before, because if you go back to when Rick Campbell came to BC from Ottawa, Ed Hervey hired him. He had his time left on his deal in Ottawa. They were able to find a way to make that transition. And the thing with BC is, in my opinion, even if Campbell is retained, I would be surprised if they want to extend him. So now, if Ed Hervey provides you with that opportunity to come into a new situation, then on a 3-year deal, it certainly makes a lot of sense for Rick Campbell. But again, BC's got to make a final decision first. So does Edmonton. They still want to go through their process, although I'm not convinced they're going to wait until 10 days after Grey Cup before naming GM.
Well, and of course, back to Ed Hervey for a moment. If he does become the new GM in Edmonton, that's going to create an opening in Hamilton. And it's my understanding that, while this process is going on, Ed Hervey is not conducting any Hamilton Tiger Cat business until this process plays out. So, of course, you have Orlando Steinauer there as the Vice President of Football Operations. How would the Ticats fill the vacancy left by Ed Hervey? I think it's possible they could look at internal candidates. They've done that management by committee thing before in Hamilton, but I also think it's possible they could throw it wide open and even consider maybe some individuals who are working in the United States but have backgrounds in familiarity with the Canadian Football League that they might try to repatriate if that comes about.
In Calgary, meanwhile, we've seen some change there already. They've moved on from defensive coordinator Brent Monson and longtime special teams coordinator Mark Killam, but I don't think the change there is done quite yet. I do understand that quarterback coach Bo Baldwin and offensive line coach and offensive coordinator Pat Delmonico are expected to be retained, potentially getting involved in a play calling capacity there as well. But as far as other moves, my understanding is that Andre Bolduc, the running backs coach, is not expected to be back. You've also got defensive backs coach Dwayne Cameron, who likely moves into a personnel and scouting capacity. And then you've also got Nick Lewis, the receiver coach. They would like to bring him back, but I know that Nick has some other business interests that might prevent him from being a full-time coach next year. So he might find a role in the organization in a different area, but still some questions to answer there. And then, of course, you've got to figure out who the defensive coordinator is going to be there as well. And, there are going to be names like whether it's Mark Washington, formerly of Hamilton. If BC makes a coaching change, does Ryan Phillips get into that mix? So there's going to be some other names available on the defensive side and its special teams coordinator in Calgary. And also, I don't think they're done with front office and personnel changes there either.
That's going to be a busy time once we get past Grey Cup on Monday for the latter couple of weeks of November. The fun season, as we sometimes call it, begins.
Thank you, gentlemen. And just to make sure you've got the schedule down, kickoff Sunday, tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Pacific. Make sure your snacks are in place for the Argonauts and the Blue Bombers in the 111th Grey Cup. And the game's the main focus, of course, but there is the additional focus inside BC Play Stadium there of the Twisted Tea halftime performance with the Jonas Brothers. Joe making his way from Jerry's World on Friday night to BC Place from dome to dome.
Just fighting and scrapping, man. We came into halftime, and I told him, give me all you got, man.
Into the hands of Hollins. He's still going. He's got a touchdown. Just one play and 69 yards.
He takes a shot down the field. He's got Hollins. And he's home. An early strike from the BC Lions. Drops it in there. Who else? Alexander Hollins.
Gibellini, you know what I'm saying?
Fans and cheerleaders cheering on 6 Alexander Hollins touchdowns this season, and they're cheering him on right now as well here at the Grey Cup Festival as he joins us here at the desk. And welcome, first of all. This is all for you probably here, Alex.
Nah, not all for me. Thank you, though.
A fabulous season, but we'll get into that in a second. Just what have you seen here at Grey Cup weeks so far? And I'm sure you're dying to be a part of it all.
Man, it's been a fun week. Just doing a lot of activities and stuff. We're here with the league and a little bit with the team and stuff. Seeing people have fun. A lot of fans coming out, showing love and support from every team, and especially the two teams here in the Grey Cup competing against each other. So it's been great, man.
Excellent. Hey, what do you do in the off season? Off season's coming up. What do you do? Will you go home? What do you do with family?
So at the beginning of the off season, I relax a little bit, go bowling, hang out with family. And my stepfather, he has a meat processing business, so we process wild hog and deer, clean and scale fish. So we do those things. We make hamburger patties, steaks, brocks.
All right, you got to bring them back up to. You got to bring them up to the team,
I can bring
right?
some back up to the team, man. Have some people try them out.
Hey, let me ask you a couple football questions. What have you improved on from this year, from last year? Last year had great stats too. This year, great stats. But what did you get better at, you felt, this year as a football player?
I think mentally, you got to be able to read those coverages as a receiver. You got to know what guys are, and you got to know what they're doing. And sometimes guys disguise and make it tough on you and make it hard on you to know what they're doing. So I think I got better at that because last year I was just kind of like on the fly with things. I kind of knew what some players were doing, what some teams were doing a little bit every now and then, but I got a lot better at that this year.
Was there a defensive back, non-BC Lions, that you really hated going against? I know you say you're going to dominate them all, but who did you respect as a defensive back?
I respect them all, man. I respect everybody again because the minute you don't respect somebody again, the game will humble you. So, got like DB from Winnipeg, Ford, great guy. You know what I'm saying? He always trying to bait you up. Sales is a great corner, always trying to bait you up. I love going against Winnipeg's secondary and sad secondary because they are bend don't break defense, and they disguise player real good. So. I love going against guys like that, teams like that.
So what I think is great about the receiver position, coaching the receiver position, is you see so many of your peers and you can see them performing at other levels. Who do you watch when you're putting tape on non-BC Lions? Like this receiver in the league, I love watching his tape. I love how he motions. I love how he makes plays. Who do you love in the league to watch?
Guy from Ottawa, Hardy.
Oh, Justin Hardy.
Man,
excellent player.
He's a dog, man. He always, man, he run every route. Every route he runs look like a go route. He get open, he catches everything, he get yaks. He make those big plays. He can get the little catches and turn to something big, explosive plays. So I respect the game a lot. I love watching him play. And also Reggie Bagleton from Calgary. That's my guy too. So I love watching him play too. So those two guys, I love their games.
Yeah, excellent players.
Any chance you know who your quarterback is next season? I know that's a big one in the. I mean, really, you can't lose, right?
Yeah.
Not a bad place to be.
I mean, I think the whole Canada knows it's gonna be Nathan Rourke. So yeah, so that's who it's probably gonna be, Nathan Rourke. So yeah, we're looking forward to that.
And what would you say to Vernon? Like such a great teammate and everything. Your time with Vernon.
Man, my 3 years with Vernon, man. Great guy, great man. He's a great teammate. He's a great leader. I love him to death. You know what I'm saying? So. And
it's good to hear.
Yeah.
It's great to hear. Thank you.
Been a class act in that room during his entire stint as a BC Lion, needless to say. Alex, thanks so much for stopping by. Really appreciate it, and best of luck next season.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys.
Alexander Hollins of the BC Lions as we get set for the invasion of his home turf, if you will, at BC Place Stadium for the 111th Grey Cup. It's the Argonauts and the Bombers. Lots more on the game itself and more on these festivities here at the Grey Cup Festival coming up. The good vibes, the fun continues at the Grey Cup Festival. High wire acts inside and outside for the fans gathering here for the Grey Cup Festival here in Vancouver, BC. Fun had by all. And it's all to win a Grey Cup title, of course. Toronto looking to add to its already record haul in CFL history. Is a 19th Grey Cup possible? It's made possible by a thrilling victory, of course, in the East Final.
Hey, they're here to watch us show out. Let's give them a show.
Oh, Canada, we stand on God.
Fletcher breaks right through. The ball comes out and Deshaun Amos is on it. And this is the second fumble by the Alouettes in this game. So the Argos once again benefit from a Montreal turnover.
What's up, man?
Montreal ball on a 1st and 10. Fajardo moving around the pocket, looking to check it down. He does. For Fletcher, it's intercepted. Speaking of Benji Franklin, and a pick 6.
Hey, never too high, never too low. Let's keep us.
Yes, sir.
We locked in. We got a job. This is what we do, right? We don't ride the wave, man. We make plays. We always do this, right? It's just a normal day for us.
Yes, sir. Gonna flip him like that every time.
Like taking a shell off turtle. Perfect tackle right there. You're supposed to be in class. You're supposed to be in class.
From the Toronto 8. Fajardo rolling out to the right, looks to the end zone. Touchdown, Alouettes.
Touchdown.
It is Keon Julian Grant. Kelly. With time again, takes a deep shot. And it's caught by DeMonte Coxey.
Let's go, coach. Let's go, boy. Let's go.
Trying for the end zone. Unbelievable. Back-to-back plays to Coxey. And the Argos in the final play of the first half have retaken the lead.
Hey, game, let's go. Hey, let's go. Let's go, boy. Let's go, boy. Let's go.
Second and 2. Toronto 15. Faking. End zone. Touchdown, Alouettes. Austin Mack.
Bro, that's crazy.
Cody Fajardo in a 2nd and 4. Quickly rid of it.
Oh.
And it's caught by Walter Fletcher. And he waltzes in for the touchdown.
McManus.
This is to tie the game. Fajardo into the end zone, intercepted. Benji Franklin.
Hey, that's a great play.
So 4 seconds, 3. Counting it down. They lost their quarterback, but they won the game. And Ryan Dinwiddie's Toronto Argonauts are going to the Grey Cup.
Job not done. Job not finished. Job not finished.
See, that was inception for myself and Jim Barker, because we're watching CFL Wired, and we get the additional CFL Wired, watching CFL Wired as Austin Mack of the Montreal Alouettes joins us. Was that a horror movie for you, watching the last 5 minutes?
I mean, first off, thank you guys for having me. Absolutely. I hate having to relive that. To this day, it's still a little bittersweet, but the Argos is a tremendous team, and it was a hard-fought effort, and it'll go down as one of the classics.
Hey, I got to ask one quick question. The all-time time touchdown celebration standing on your head. When did that come up with that? And I'd never seen it.
Yeah, so the week before in the NFL, I saw Drake London and Amar St. Brown do it, and I said, if I get into the end zone in the East Final, I am doing it. And what's crazy, if you see Charleston Rambo right next to me try to do it with me, he didn't get his legs all the way extended, but it was a good effort, man. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, that was an absolute classic.
Thank you, guys.
Good. Did you have something you had?
I was just going to say, after the season you had, obviously you hate the loss, but was it a bit cathartic to have the personal performance you did, at least to finish your season the way that it did?
Yeah, absolutely. And, guys, it's been difficult for me. I've been hurt, and I haven't played a lot of games with the team, a lot of continuity. But to have the efficient last game that we had in that East Final, even for myself, I felt really good about it, and I'm excited for, what's to come. You know what I mean? And excited to get back into camp, get right back to work. I've already been talking to the guys, and, we got a lot of time until we get to that point, but I can't wait.
Talk about the transition of coming mid-season from the NFL, and the games are obviously different. They're close, but obviously different. What's the biggest transition for a receiver coming back after the NFL?
Yeah, I mean, number one, it was very difficult. When you hear from the jump from camp and you're working, you earn your job and you earn your reps, you got that continuity with the team. I came in mid-season, wasn't the same role I was used to the time before. I had to, prove myself again. I had to get back into the continuity with the quarterbacks, my guys, build with the team again, be the leader that I am on the team. And, it was difficult every single day coming right in that first week and having to learn the playbook at a whole different position. It was still pretty similar from the same offense, obviously, with Moss in the year before, but definitely some different changes.
Which Canadian Football League rule do you like the most as a wide receiver that's different than the U.S.? You played great at Ohio State. DeVere Posey was in this league and was an MVP in this game also. So what rule in our league do you like the best that you find most advantageous?
I love the flexibility that you can have at receiver. With the waggle and with being a down south player, I'm usually on the line predominantly. But you have the ability to move laterally down the line, and that right there is a huge advantage. It's really hard to press you in this league, and having that flexibility, I mean, there's a lot of things you can add to your game from a creativity perspective, and that right there is what I try to add into my game all the time.
Wow. So, again, when you came to the league, you decided to come up here. What was the toughest thing for you in terms of learning the Canadian game? Was it the terminology? Was it the size of the field? When you first came up here, what was the toughest?
Yeah, I don't think the terminology is much different. Football, at the end of the day, is football. But it's the timing and spacing. It's the nuances of the game. The field, like you said, is much wider. It's bigger. So things happen slower versus down south. Down south, the game is super fast. As a receiver, I'm usually racing against the defensive line. But up here, they're a yard off the ball. You're not really racing the defensive line. I'm trying to be in the best position that I can be for the quarterback and make sure as a receiver I see the defense. There's another defender. There's 12 guys out there. They play different types of zones. So when you're playing those zone teams, I mean, man-to-man is one thing, right? But when you play those zone teams, as a receiver, you need to know where you need to be at the right time for the quarterback and depending on his drop. And so as a guy, as a receiver, I try and spend a lot of time with our guys, our quarterbacks, especially Cody. I'm like, hey, Cody, I'm talking to you. Hey, where do you need me at when you're here on this play or on this play? And, hey, what read am I on this route, right? And knowing those nuances, and it just makes it a lot easier for my yak and to be in the right position at the right time when our quarterbacks need me.
This close this year, it'll happen, I'm sure. Best of luck next season. Thanks so much for doing this. Appreciate it.
No, thank you guys.
Thanks,
appreciate it.
Austin Mack of the Montreal Alouettes. And, Aaron Karolak told us that he loves the over on the Kenny Lawler receiving yards prop. He also told us he likes Lawler as a potential Grey Cup MVP. So it makes sense that he might be interested in Lawler to lead all players in receiving yards on Grey Cup Sunday as well. Lawler, the favorite to lead all players in receiving yards at nearly 3-1 odds at FanDuel. And also in there is a big name this weekend, Mackay Polk as well.
Mackay Polk, who has been red hot the final third of the season.
Tosses to the end zone. Mackay Polk.
I'm going to go deep today, though.
Yeah. Open receiver, Mackay Polk. Touchdown number 4. Big play, Mackay Polk. Gone for the Argo touchdown.
continues at the Grey Cup Festival. Bouncy castles galore. You should see the size of the bouncy castles, as big as the game itself here at the 111th Grey Cup. Bravery unmatched. Heading down the slide. I think that's where Paul LaPolice is right now. While he's doing that, we're going to hear from Milt Stegall. Earlier in the week, we chatted with Milt, asked him who are the 5 key players to watch in the big game here in the 111th Grey Cup. Here's where he went with.
Now, every single player in this game is important, but in my opinion, there are 5 players who are more important than any other. And those 5 are who? At number 5, I have Mackay Polk. At some point in this game, these Toronto Argonauts receivers are going to have to make a contested big catch. And why not Mackay Polk? In my opinion, the best big play receiver in the game. 6'3", long-ranging, he can go up and get it.
Big play, Mackay Polk. Taken off. Gone for the Argo touchdown.
At number 4, the Toronto Argonaut defensive line. They led the CFL in sacks. In the 2 games they played against the Blue Bombers, they had a total of 12 sacks. They held the Bombers to under 15 points in both of those games. They can control the outcome of this game.
Fajardo escapes the pocket, loses the ball. It's picked up by Wynton McManus.
At number 3, the dread man, Janarian Grant, the best returner in this game. He can adjust the field position for Nick Arbuckle. He can also return one to the house. They also get him involved in offense and screens and reverses. He is the fastest man on the field. He can adjust this game.
We just got to stay level. Never get too high, never get too low. Just stay right in the middle, and after that, we're going to climb. Everything going to right for itself.
At number 2, the only Winnipeg Blue Bomber on this list, Zach Collaros. If he plays well, Winnipeg will win this game. But in the last 2 Grey Cups, he hasn't played well. He hasn't thrown a touchdown. He's thrown 2 interceptions. In 2022, 236 yards. In 2023, only 183 yards. He needs to play better. And if he does, they win this game.
Collaros, a ton of time. Down the field, wide open. Who else? Kenny Lawler. Touchdown, Winnipeg.
Man, number 1, Nick Arbuckle. Yes, Nick Arbuckle. He doesn't need to play great. He just doesn't need to play bad. He needs to realize that he has enough weapons around him. A great return game, a great defense. If he can go out there and not make mistakes, his team has a chance to win. So those are my 5 important players that's going to determine the outcome of this game.
Back with Bo and Jim here on the desk. And other than the fact that Milt cheated and put an entire line on there, rather than just 5 players, but we'll leave him be with that. What do you think of his list?
Well, Milt spent a lot of time. I know he did, and it was a very accurate list. But he got the lines wrong. I thought instead of the Toronto defensive line, I think it's their offensive line and helping Nick Arbuckle out. They need to protect, obviously, and give him the time to be able to not feel rushed and those kind of things. But they also need to be able to run the ball and develop a balanced offense. Don't put it all on Nick Arbuckle. I think their offensive line is under a lot of pressure to play great, even more so than that defensive line.
Man, I couldn't agree with you more. I wanted to go there. I heard you're already gonna go with him. Now listen, why are we not talking about the dual award winner, Brady Oliveira? Is he not the most important player in this game? I'll tell you, no. The most important player is the guy tasked with stopping him all day. All right, and that is number 48, the Mike linebacker, Wynton McManus. This guy right here is being under-talked about. He's one of the best players in the league. Jim, you know this. Every single team, when you talk about playing against Toronto Argonauts, you talk about Wynton McManus. Be careful throwing some of those in-breakers. He's always there. He can bait you. He can get back there. You saw him with the interception, pitch it back, take it back for a touchdown. They're going to hand that ball to Brady. They're going to bring receivers in. They're going to bring 6-0 line in. They're going to try to push that down. Number 48 has to stop that and force Zach Collaros to go throw for 300 yards, go throw a couple touchdowns.
You're so right. It's almost like the assumption is Brady's going to do Brady things, right. and you just have to accept it, right? Yeah. We're not really asking questions of Brady Oliveira going into this game. We'll see. He's going to be a betting favorite, I would guess, as we take a look at the heavy favorites to win the Grey Cup MVP at FanDuel, so it's no surprise quarterbacks are going to get a lot of the focus there to win the Grey Cup MVP. Zach Collaros, followed by this year's most outstanding player, Brady Oliveira, the second choice. AK suggested sprinkles of Kenny Lawler as the Grey Cup MOP at 9-1 odds at FanDuel. With more, let's let AK explain himself.
That's exactly it, Blake. I love the matchup for Kenny Lawler in the Grey Cup on Sunday against an Argonauts defense that has given up a ton through the air in recent weeks. We saw Drew Brown rack up almost 500 passing yards in the East semifinal. Cody Fajardo with more than 330 in the East final. The Argonauts defense is vulnerable through the air. I think Zach Collaros has a big day passing, and I think a lot of those passing yards will go to Kenny Lawler. FanDuel, an over-under of 75.5 receiving yards for Lawler. That's way too low. I'm playing his over. I'm playing the alt overs for Lawler. 90 plus, 100 plus, 125 plus, and indeed, Blake, a sprinkling on Grey Cup MVP at plus 900. I see shades of DeVere Posey in 2017 for Kenny Lawler on Sunday against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. A big game coming for the Bombers wideout.
Thanks, AK, and we'll be duly informed there throughout the day on what's going on at FanDuel. And look at the great drone view there of what the festival looks like as we count you down to kickoff at the 111th Grey Cup. And here's how the West was won.
Moving my hips like yeah, moving my hips like yeah. Like that money song. QPC, young lady, them city, I'm calling it, up to the city. You got it? Hey, man, we've been working all year to get to this point, man. All year to get to this point, man. It's one question. Why not us, man? Why the not us, man? We at the crib. Let's kick these boys out the front door, man. Start fast, finish strong, man, and start with us. And start with us, man. Let's do it. We got man. We got it. It's all us. Let's get it, man. Let's go, man. Let's have a day. What is that?
2nd and 3. Collaros, thinking end zone. Down the field, Lawler's got it. Touchdown, Winnipeg! Kenny Lawler strikes first. Bombers go on top.
Let's work. Lock in, focus up, baby. Let's go. Crash out.
Empty backfield for Collaros. Down the field, Lawler again. Touchdown. Did he get there? Yes!
Let's go! Let's rock.
2nd and 1. Wilson in the game, short yardage, and he escapes it. He's off to the races. Down to the 40. He'll find the 30. Down the 20, looking for the corner, steps out of bounds. Did not see that coming well.
Every time, let's go. Go give me one. Go give me one.
Brady Oliveira stands into his left. Collaros and Zodetsky, touchdown. Winnipeg opens it up again.
Man, let's go.
2nd and 7. Riders send forward. Collaros, a ton of time. Down the field, wide open. Who else? Kenny Lawler. Touchdown, Winnipeg. A hat trick for Lawler. And the Bombers open it up again on a deep strike from Collaros.
You got it. Come on. Come on, we good. We good.
Harris. What a time. Gets it away, broken up by Ford.
Come here. Come here. Come here. 2.
Wilson in the game. Gets it to Brady Oliveira. Touchdown, Winnipeg.
Big dog. Let's go. Going to that cup. Let's go. We're going back. Yeah! We're going to the Grey Cup. Y'all ready?
The festival continues at the 111th Grey Cup and building resilience in the bouncy castles right now as we get a little bit closer to game time between the Bombers and the Argos.
Welcome to Winnipeg, everyone. Welcome to a new season in the Canadian Football League. Marc-Antoine Dubois, he's getting it started in week 1.
Takes a shot down the field. He's got Hollins. An early strike from the BC Lions. The kick is
Winnipeg Blue Bombers 0-4.
What is going on with the Bombers?
The aura of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers is gone.
Touchdown. Winnipeg wins.
Oliveira has been the answer for the Bombers.
looking down the field towards the end zone. Touchdown, Winnipeg. Some magic from Collaros. Zach Collaros has got his shredding machine out right now.
Welcome to Montreal, where the Bombers look to lock down the West on their own terms. Touchdown Bombers. It's got the leg. It's good.
CFL's best rivalry with a spot in its biggest game on the line. Down the field, wide open. Who else? Kenny Lawler. Touchdown, Winnipeg. Harris downfield for Johnson. Goes up and did not hang on. And the Bombers are going back to the Grey Cup again.
Thanks to all the fans. You guys were awesome.
It's been a lot of fun already. We've had front row seats here at the Grey Cup Festival. All the cheerleading teams have been through. Jim Barker, Hull Police, joining myself, Blake Price here. A lot of fun. We'll be back with more special guests over the next couple of hours here, counting you down to kick off at the big game. This is a storied rivalry, Grey Cup history. The story, not a pleasant one, though, for the Blue Bombers. Toronto 7-0 all time when these two teams meet in the Grey Cup. It's either really daunting for Winnipeg or they are just plain due to hoist the cup. With the West Side story at walkthroughs for the Bombers, back to Kate Burness and the gang at BC Place.
All right, Blake, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers taking their final look at BC Place before Sunday, where they will make an appearance in their 5th straight Grey Cup. They are the 4th team in CFL history to make 5 consecutive appearances in the championship game. The Bombers have won the title 12 times in their history, looking for lucky number 13 this weekend and erase the heartbreak of losing the past 2 Grey Cups in a row. As we welcome you back inside BC Place, Kate Burness alongside David Sanchez, Matt Dunnigan, Milt Stegall, and Slim Fit Enoch.
It's too new, Kate.
No, it's not.
Too soon.
No, thank you.
Put it out there.
I was going to say it before we went on air. I'm like, no.
Stop
Okay,
it, Milt.
Enoch, what's on your jacket?
Are we going to tackle?
We have to explain to the viewers why I would call you Slim
What's
Fit
on your
Enoch.
suit?
What's on your suit?
This is a slim fit suit. That's what it is. Yep.
We think that you got embroidered on your suit, Slim Fit, and that's your new nickname,
If that's
is it
slim
not?
fit, I'm invisible, basically. When I get on the football field, I'm slim, guys.
So let's take a look at these Winnipeg Blue Bombers and get away from the attention on Enoch for a moment. And when did we watch the Toronto Argonauts come onto the field today? I mean, they had a boombox, they were playing music, it was super fun, uplifting. It's more of a serious tone at the moment for the Bombers, but they do look incredibly relaxed, Davis.
Well, this is a group that's, all words say this is a group that's dialed in and focused, and we could say, and this would be the conversation, it's what they've done over the last few years, the greatness, the disappointment, and this is a group that's not going to talk about making it too big. They're going to downplay the historical significance of all this and say it's just one game and it's one play at a time, and that's the mentality they'll have once this game kicks off. But as of now and leading into this, they definitely have thought about it, but their job will be to dial in and play one play at a time, one snap at a time, and it's not easy. And you want to forget about the historical significance of it, but during the game, once it starts, it's a must to deal with each snap individually?
Davis, it's not take your kids to work day for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. It's night and day difference in mentality. I recognize it. It is all business. Look, losing the Grey Cup 2 years in a row is not fun. And you know, I lost my share of Grey Cups, and those haunt you. And I'm watching the Bombers now. I feel like this is a football team that's haunted about their past, and they want to right that wrong. And it's all about business. They got their briefcases in hand. They're locked and loaded. Not that Toronto's not. Right. I'm just saying that their approach is different because they've lost it the last 2 years, and that stays with you. I really like what I'm seeing here by the Bombers. It reminds me of the 84-85 Ticats losing it 2 years in a row. In '86, they came and pasted us as we got back there for the first time in 5 years, and it was a lesson learned.
All right, let's get you down to field level now. Claire Hanna standing by with the MOP, Brady Oliveira.
Thank you very much, Kate. And Brady, we were just talking about how this is routine now, doing this pregame interview the day before the Grey Cup. 2 days ago, you were named the MOP of the league. Has it sunk in yet? How does that feel?
It's still pretty surreal. Obviously, you know, the most prestigious award that you can get in this great league. So, yeah, truly blessed. Like I said in my speech, it's none of that's even there without my teammates, right? You know, being a part of an amazing team, great guys around me, great coaches, and a great organization.
Okay, this might be the most controversial question you're going to get this week. It's well documented that you rescue dogs. I know you travel to Bali, you do that, but I heard you're actually a cat person.
I still rescue cats. I rescue dogs. I still got love for the cats out there as well. Definitely a dog guy, but I still do rescue cats.
Okay, do you get the impression that your dogs back home watch you and understand what's happening on the field?
So I actually just got a message before I came out here. We have a dog sitter at the house right now, and I guess something popped up on the TV about me, and I guess the dog's ears perked up because they heard my voice. So I guess it is a real thing. They know Dad's out at work, and I'll be home soon.
I love that. They're going to be cheering you on tomorrow. Brady, just what's the mood of the team like right now?
We're ready. We're locked in. We're ready. We've had an amazing week of prep. I feel the same energy that we had going into the last week's game in the West Final. So guys are confident. We're going to play loose out there because we prepared so well throughout the week, and we're just really excited for tomorrow.
Thank you, Brady.
Thanks, Claire. Appreciate it.
Back to you guys.
All right, Claire, we talked about this at the CFL Awards Milt. So Brady Oliveira wins MOP, wins Top Canadian, led the league in rushing. He rescues dogs, and now he's rescuing cats.
and he has a ponytail? I feel sorry for all the single men out there. It's tough on him. I'm telling you, it's going to be tough on him. But as you mentioned, talking about these Bombers, and I talked to Ed Tate just a little while ago, and he's basically the insider for the Bombers. He worked for the Bombers, and he talked about how dialed in Zach Collaros is. And he talked about how Zach is always dialed in, but these last 2 weeks has been something different. Basically, he didn't say it, but there's a different approach because Zach understands that losing, and I've been saying is losing 3 Grey Cups when you're the starting quarterback in the row is not a good look. Regardless that you made it to that 5, yes, there is a dynasty, but that will be the narrative if they lose this game. So this team is dialed in. They understand how significant this game is, and if they go out there and play their game, they should win. They should win.
Chaz, you talked about the significance of the history, especially with what they've gone through the last times that they've been here at this stage. But I kind of get a sense, as much as they're not dancing around and jumping around and the kids aren't running around, they still have that calm confidence to them as they get on the field. And they have the luxury of having to try, the ability to try different things when they get here. And so I think they changed the schedules a little bit throughout the course of the week. I was talking to some of the guys, and, you can only do that if you come here so often as they've had. So
any takeaway?
It's a positive.
Any takeaway from Brady saying we're gonna go out there and play loose? I mean, that's I think almost you're trying to convince yourself to play loose. You don't want to play how you play, loose, tight, but you have to. When you're saying that, I also think it's them trying to take, again, the continuous conversation is always finding ways to take pressure off yourself.
Yeah. He wasn't talking about the team. He was self-talking right there, and we've seen it, and we've seen it.
He did say we are going to play loose, but he can only speak for himself.
But he is. I think I saw that shot of Big Hill and Strevler and Wolotarski standing around, and for the young guys that hadn't been, look, there's a lot of young guys on the Bombers team. They can draw a lot from the guys that we just talked about that aren't in uniform tomorrow, and their leadership is still valuable to this football team.
All right, let's send you back downfield again. Here is Claire Hanna standing by with Zach Collaros.
Zach, every year that we've done this interview, you've got your Tim Hortons out on the field. You feel loose today?
Feel loose, yeah. Just trying to warm up a little bit. They have the doors open. There's a draft coming through, but yeah, get a little coffee, get the day going.
Okay, now it's documented that you're friends with Jason and Travis Kelce, and I know you sent them a little, let's call it a Blue Bombers starter package a couple of weeks ago. They wore, it was Travis that wore your jersey on their podcast New Heights. But what happened? Was that supposed to be the week they were going to wear those jerseys?
No, the idea was to wear it for the West Final, but kind of got lost in translation there. So it's all right. That was still a pretty cool little homage to the CFL that they did there. Obviously, that's a heavily viewed podcast, so it's pretty cool.
Okay, Capri, Sierra are your daughters. Dean is going to be new. This is going to be his first Grey Cup experience. Yeah, what's it been like for you to watch your daughters maybe understand what Dad's doing a little bit more?
I mean, it's just such a blessing to begin with, but yeah, they love game day. They love coming to the game. Like the night before, they're usually, asking me, are we playing the green team? Are we playing the yellow team? Who do we want to win? Obviously, we want us to win, but it's just been really a lot of fun. My wife didn't know a ton about football before we met either, so it's kind of been new for her and her family as well. And so that's been an adventure. But just to have the girls and now Dean to be so involved and to be it's in such a great group, and the organization takes care of our family so well. It's been really seamless and a lot of fun for them. It's been awesome.
Zach, one of the things you said right when you guys got off the plane here in Vancouver was you wanted to limit distractions, but you wanted some sushi. Have you had sushi yet?
Yeah, we hit up a couple places here in the city. It's probably the best spot in Canada for it, so it was really good.
Okay, well, enjoy this last walkthrough and enjoy game day tomorrow.
Thanks, Claire.
Thank you.
And I'm totally with Zach Collaros. Vancouver's food scene is phenomenal. No, I know it's cold, but the food scene was great. We've had sushi, we've had some oysters, we've had some Mexican, we've had some Lebanese, we've had absolutely everything.
And you know what's best about the food?
What's that?
Is when you pay for it that one time, Kate.
I didn't pay for it.
Who paid for it? We just walked out.
Our boss, Paul Graham. I took his credit card. Sorry, PG. Milt, let's talk now about the defense of this team. And I got to tell you, it's one of the things that I don't think we focus on enough when it comes to Winnipeg. We talk about Toronto's defense a lot, but I mean, they have a defense that allowed just 19.9 offensive points and 328 net yards per game. Those are both CFL best marks. And defensively, this team is going to have to step up, even though they have Nick Arbuckle under center when it comes to the Toronto Argonauts. I mean, you still got Kadeem Cash and Carey, you still have that receiving core. I mean, they're going to have to work tomorrow.
They're going to have to work, and they know what they're in for, regardless who's at quarterback. Nick Arbuckle, if it would have been Chad Kelly, I think this team has the same approach. They're going to try to get up the quarterback. But I think more important than that, they know they have to stop Kadeem Carey. I think Ryan Dinwiddie is going to try to run him, and they have the team to do it. We talked about Tony Jones in the middle, what he's done. Yes, no one is Big Hill, but he stepped in, and this team has not missed a beat. They're doing some great things. Ford, Home, Nichols, those guys make some plays, and I think Alexander's going to have a big game. We haven't seen him this year. He's been somewhat consistent, has some injuries, but we know when he's on his game what type of player he can be, the intimidator when those receivers come across the middle. So this defense is going to have to step up and play a great game, as I mentioned, regardless who's at quarterback for the Toronto Argonauts.
Like you mentioned, Milt, Tony Jones is going to have to play a big role. Again, this is a big game. He hasn't been in this space before, but I promise you he spent a lot of time with Adam Big Hill, who is in Vancouver today. And so he's going to spend a lot of time with Tony. But more than anything, I like Cramdy. Cramdy played a huge role for that defense as well. I mean, he is not shy. What I loved about last week as well, they went to a 3-down lineman package, and Cramdy comes up, and it's hard to stop the run that way, but he still was able to get in there, and they're going to need to do that, like you mentioned, Kate, because they're going to run the ball in Toronto.
To the tune of 7 tackles and a quarterback sack. Rhett Cramdy had last week, really contributed a big way, played aggressive as you would. You want your strong side linebacker. A lot of talk about him this year. Mike O'Shea, one of his favorite ball players, because he says he's the most intelligent player on the field, and he prepares that way, and I think the entire team does. And a lot of talk about the 2 games that the Winnipeg Blue Bombers lost to the Toronto Argonauts this year, and to me, when I go back and look at those games, the first one, You got your star quarterback, Zach Collaros, out there with 4 new receivers. And his receiving corps had been decimated. And they were low-scoring games. And your kicker misses 2 field goals in that one and 2 in the next one. Those could have made the difference. So they could have easily won those 2 games. But a lot of people talk about Toronto's defense stopping the Winnipeg offense. Well, this team was still trying to figure themselves out in one of those games early on in the football season. And they figured it out because those young players have stepped up in a big way and are producing in a big, and they're going to have to do that again tomorrow.
For this Jordan Younger defense, they've been so dominant. Think about, we talked about Sask, how good they were, and the difference between Sask right now, yards per game. They're number 1, Winnipeg is. And Sask is number 2 at 30 yards less a game, or 30 yards more a game. That's a big jump between number 1 and number 2. And really, these guys playing, you're going to see, when you see this Bombers defense play, what you'll see is 8 sets, the 4 defensive linemen, and then you're going to see 8 sets of eyes looking at the quarterback. And that's the style they play. Right there, Jordan Younger, their defensive coordinator, that's how the systems he came up in. He's a Rich Subler disciple. That's the way that he was taught. That's the way they play. Yep. So it's really a game where your eyes on the quarterback, you're breaking on football, and you got to tackle, and you take away everything deep. And that's what you see for this Bombers team. Right. That's where they'll attempt to have success tomorrow.
There was an award created at the award show this year, Comeback Player of the Year. I think a new award that needs to be created is Assistant Coach of the Year. And you talk about that, and that man, Jordan Younger, should be in the running for that. What he's been able to do, stepping in for Richie Hall, has been truly amazing. I mean, he's on the fast track, in my opinion, to maybe be a head coach soon.
Yes.
Because, he when I was there for a training camp, you saw the players. You can tell the players respect him, and he's been there. And it's been truly amazing. So he's special to watch, and he's special to this team.
Not a self-promoter either. He doesn't talk much about himself. That's why I don't hear his name, because he doesn't promote himself.
That's an endearing factor about him, I think. Why, Milt, you get that sense that he's next in line for a head coaching job. And fast-tracked, I don't know if it's been fast-tracked or not. I just know that he deserves an opportunity because of the way he carries himself and the results that he gets from his players.
Take notice when guys are.
And you know what, too, you got to give some credit to Mike O'Shea here. He's in his 5th straight Grey Cup as a head coach. I mean, he won 3 titles with Toronto as a player, another as a special teams coordinator, looking for his 3rd Grey Cup as a head coach as the Bombers make their 5th straight appearance, and we send it back to Blake Price.
They really want that 3rd win in 5 appearances. Thanks so much, Kate and the gang. Guys, there's no shame in 2 wins in 5 appearances. Just 3 sounds that much better. You're into the majority of the games at this point. Lapa, let's start with you. I mean, how much pressure is, we talked about Collaros individually earlier, but for the team, how much pressure to win and cement that legacy?
I would say the legacy is cemented. And just let's not forget, 29 years the Bombers did not win a Grey Cup. I was fortunate enough to work there 3 different times in that organization trying to get that Grey Cup, and it's hard to win Grey Cups. Think of 2001. They were the favorites. Milt won't like me bringing this up, but they got beat by the Calgary Stampeders. 2007, Kevin Glenn gets hurt. Ryan Dinwiddie gets his first start. The Saskatchewan Roughriders beat the Bombers. I was the head coach in 2019. We got beat here in BC Place by a superior BC Lions football team. And then they gradually brought the roster back. They started getting better players started competing. Now they have a salad every week. They have an outstanding organization and a place where you can know you're in a championship caliber every year.
Yeah, Lapo, you're right, man. They've been a great football team for a long time, right? If they win 3 in a row to start and then lose 2, we don't talk about them any differently. But you want to end on a win, like you said. Like it's in 2016, I lost to Henry Burris. I watched him walk off in the sunset. 2017, lost to Ricky Ray. Watched him walk off in the sunset. Zach Collaros, we need to understand and appreciate. If he wins this game, maybe the guy hangs it up. Look at the team you've had put together for so long. Willie Jefferson could walk away. Big Hill, Stanley Bryant, Jake Thomas, Brandon Alexander. A win not only cements this, but could end people's careers in a positive way where they want to walk off with that championship ring on their finger.
But the Grey Cup is in Winnipeg next year, and I don't think one of those players you mentioned want to sit there in the stands and watch another team potentially play there. Yeah. I just don't believe that could happen. Right. But in terms of a legacy, this team has dominated the West Division for 5 years. Say what you want about Grey Cup, but this team has dominated the West Division, and they've done it with a style of play that was maybe different back in the in 2018, 2019. everybody was spreading, and it was all no tight ends. You don't run. It's not physical football. It was junkyard football, in the backyard. And they basically came in and have turned it into a physical style of game. And I think you have the two most physical teams in the league playing in this Grey Cup. So I think everything is cyclical in football. As you know, Lapo, in coaching, everything goes around and comes around. We're getting back to a physical way because of what the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have been fortunate enough to do these last 5 years.
It's a great point about, we're talking about the Argos offensive and defensive line, very physical. So is Winnipeg offensively, defensive line, and that's usually who ends up at the end of the year in this football game. It's a really good point.
Real quick, Jim, is it a swear word? Is the history, the last 2 Grey Cups, are those swear words in the room, or do you use history?
I can promise you this. In Winnipeg, history has never brought up by Mike O'Shea.
Yeah,
the one thing I know about Michael O'Shea is he could care less about 5 minutes ago. He's looking forward to the next 5 minutes.
You could be more right. Sorry.
Yeah.
The media availability, Toronto, they're playing games, having fun. You can see Winnipeg's locked in, ready. They're not going to let it happen again.
Yep. There's no chasing down Edmonton. 5 wins in 6 straight marches, but 1 win here this weekend, and Winnipeg is already the second most prolific legacy in CFL history. So absolutely no shame in what's already been accomplished by the Blue Bombers. It's dancing time. Ajou, first of all, here, counting you down to the 111th edition of this Grey Cup here in Canada.
Welcome back to the Brady Oliveira show on TSN.
Brady Oliveira, touchdown!
Rumbling away, down to the 10. Brady Oliveira the 5, and finally pushed out of bounds.
We got to see Brady beat Brady Oliveira, and it was over by that point.
Oliveira has been the answer.
It's go time. It's time to worry, baby. Hey.
Ajou, yes. First of the game. Plays with great confidence, Ajou.
See it, baby. See it.
Touchdown! Ajou!
Let me just run this route real quick.
There's a completion. Big hill. He just beat one of the best tacklers in the game.
Put me anywhere, coach. I got your bag.
I don't know if he's grimacing or having fun and smiling.
Well, the future's bright in Regina after a march to the West Final this season, and 22-year-old Ajou, a growing part of that success. His first 2 CFL touchdowns, and he's with Jim Barker and Dave Naylor with his dance routine now complete.
You are going to dance for us, right?
Oh, I'll give you a little something.
You are going to dance for us, right?
For sure.
Absolutely. Okay, we'll get to that in a moment. Let's talk some football before we do that.
I got you.
Your rookie season in the Canadian Football League, and you came out of junior college, and you had a few stops in college. We saw you at the draft in March in Winnipeg.
Yes, sir.
And there was a lot of concern about where's he going to get taken. I'm sure you weren't happy how low you were selected in the CFL draft.
I mean, definitely not, but it definitely fueled me.
So tell us how, because by a month into the season, everybody was looking at your first month of the season and saying, how did this guy fall so far in the draft? Saskatchewan got a steal. Tell us how it motivated you.
They got a steal, and I said it before, they got the steal of a lifetime. A lot of people counted me out. And rightfully so. They don't really know my story. You know what I mean? You can't really judge a book by its cover. And so Corey Mace, he read the book. Jeremy O'Day, they read the book. So I just wanted to go out there and prove everybody that I am who I say I am, and I'm being who I expect to be. That's it.
I was at that combine.
You definitely
that
were.
All those people watched, and again, I saw a great, talented athlete.
Yes,
what did I tell you?
You told me, and take it with a grain of salt, everybody. He told me you are not a good football player right now. That's exactly what he said. He said you have to show everybody why they need to choose you. You know what I mean? 4 years and you got nothing to show in your collegiate career. Oh boy, I took that to heart. And I appreciate Jim Barker right here because the season I had is solely based on him, for real, honestly. But hey, yeah, Yeah.
Well, I was proud of you, too, watching you. When you make a play, you energize the crowd. And energizing the crowd in Saskatchewan is huge for that football team.
Yeah.
And more than anything else, you bring energy.
Almost that.
Absolutely does. Physicality, fluidity, those are the things that we see when you're on the field and you got the ball in your hand.
Thank you.
Hey, let's go back to that, March, and that comment that Jim gave you. Year one for a receiver in the CFL is a ton of learning, a ton of development. Evaluate yourself as a football player at the end of the season compared to where you were at the start.
I'm definitely more polished, definitely more educated. It's just like when I came in, I didn't really know what to expect from this league. You know what I mean? I'm playing American football, and it's just boom, big change. But Mark Mueller, Marquay McDaniel, shout out them boys. They definitely pushed me and just made me want it. Made me want it. Like I was like, I'm gonna make sure I give you guys no reason not to put me on that field. You know what I mean? If you need me to learn W, Z, R, X, Y, it don't matter. I'm gonna learn it and I'm gonna play it to the best of my ability. So yeah.
Yeah, it was, like I say, it was impressive watching you because I still see the times when you maybe don't finish your route and you don't, but I also see the times when you go down and crush guys in the running game. I mean, you're not afraid to block. You have all the things in the world. What do you think you need to improve on the most to continue up your, I mean, your limit is through the roof.
Thank you.
So what do you think you need to improve on next year to take that next step?
Consistency. I just need to be consistent. I need to bring it every single day, every single practice. It don't even matter. Like, if I'm hurt, show gratitude to the game. Go learn more film. You know what I mean? Like, just show gratitude and be consistent. Yes, sir.
One of the things that does define you, I mentioned, is physicality. A lot of receivers don't like to block that much. A lot of them don't have that physicality with the ball in hand. Tell us about that that aspect of the game. Because I heard when you were in high school and you were playing safety that you could absolutely lower the boom on people. So,
you better ask. You better ask about me. But to answer that question, Corey May says it all the time in the locker room. Shout out Big Dog. Be selfish about being selfless. And Jamarcus Yoshi Hardrick, shout out my dog again. He said love shows different on film. So I just want to go out there every single play and show my brothers that I love them to death and that I'm willing to put my face through somebody else's just for you. Because who I'm blocking, he ain't getting a tackle. I'm put you in the Gatorade. Let's do it.
Okay, I mentioned you got two skills that are very above the crowd. One of them's playing football and being physical. The other one is dancing. You know,
you want to see a little something,
and your bonus mom told me that when you were a kid and she was at games, she would look across the sideline and she always knew which one was hers.
Because I'm always dancing over there.
The one who couldn't stop dancing. So let's see a little bit of a
joke.
Show us your other skill.
We need some music back here. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's get a rhythm going.
Just get a little clap. Get a clap going.
Get a clap going. Here we go.
Boom. Boom. Yeah. So this is how we do it right here. Come on. Little ooh. Get them hips going. Get them hips going. Get them bam. Get them hips going. Get them hips going. Let me see something from you. I gotta see something from you though. Yeah. Hey, you too, Dave. Don't be shying over there. Let me see a little something.
I ain't dancing, man. I ain't dancing. I'm leaving that to you.
Joe, next year I expect to see you playing in this game.
Most definitely.
Staying healthy all year.
Yes, sir.
And doing what Corey Mace wants, which is be physical. Two most physical teams in the league are playing in this game.
Yes, sir.
You guys are that far away.
Yes, sir.
You make the difference.
You give me one dance step that I can work on?
Do this one right here. I'm going to just give you a little 1, 2, okay? So it's boom and boom. So it's in and boom. In. Yeah, so you got to hit it like this, though. Yep.
That's the part I can't do.
Wow.
Blake, back to you, man.
Yes, sir.
Back to you, Blake.
Well, that is an impossible segment to follow. I really don't know how we go from there to here at this point.
I'm glad I wasn't down there.
Dave Naylor will not be in Electric Circus anytime soon, I don't think, although we could call that segment Electric Circus. If he was in this game, that'd be the kind of player you'd be like, sneaky guy who could do something that really opens up his career, opens up a lot of people's eyes. Let me ask you guys a little bit of a secret weapon, a breakout player in this game, and it may be a player that had a good regular season, but has yet to establish himself on this kind of a stage. Well,
I'll talk about someone who had a great regular season. It's going a little bit unrecognized, I'd say, and it's because he's on the same team as the most outstanding Canadian, but a guy, Tyrell Ford, a guy that could have been up for the award, 7 picks. First guy since David Sanchez, a Canadian to have that many interceptions. Listen, he was a guy, like, when I had to play against him, what we did is we tried to attack him a little bit. But that's because there's not a lot of places to attack. And it's not because he's not a good football player. He's an amazing football player. But we had to bring in 6-0 line. You got to bring in a fullback so you can get at least a one-on-one every now and then. Because if not, if you walk out there with 5 receivers, guys, Winnipeg's playing 9 DBs. They've got 3 guys that can rush the passer, and it's going to be a tough day. But this guy right here, 5 routes, double move, triple move, up, down, comeback, doesn't matter. Put the ball in the perfect spot. His hand's still almost right there.
For me on the Toronto Argonauts side, I want to talk about Mackay Polk. Spectacular season for this young first-year football player from Mississippi State. Receivers, it takes a while. When they come up here, it's very difficult because of the waggle, understanding the extra man on the field. So you could tell he had abilities. The coaches really trusted him. Here's how you know they trusted him. Don't forget, Rasheed Bailey was the starting receiver on this football team. He was also their leading receiver on the team, leading explosive plays. Right. They wanted to release one American because of their Canadian depth. They released Rasheed Bailey and kept Mackay Polk. And he's gotten better and better. 61 catches, 1,024 yards, 5 TDs this season. The last time he played this Bomber team, he had 82 yards. Yeah, he gets better and better every week. And again, you just got to grow. I could hear Pete Costanza talking to him early in the season saying, Lapo, this kid's going to be a really good football player. We just got to give him more time. And, you know, he's certainly been a great player for this Argonaut offense. 2 guys
are going to be going up against each other on Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. We heard from one Ford. We should probably hear from both of them. Claire Hanna back at BC Place Stadium with Tyrell Ford.
Here with Tyrell Ford. And Tyrell, you were with this team in 2022. Last year, you were with the Green Bay Packers. Have you noticed any differences in the mentality of this team in the year away?
Not really. I think it's a good core of the same guys, same mentality, and I think that's one of the reasons they're so successful. And I'm just glad to be a part of it.
Okay, everybody knows your brother Tre also plays in this week. How much have you guys been talking this week, and has he been giving you any tips or maybe advice for tomorrow?
No, not really. We just grabbed food together a couple times. That's pretty much it. And my niece is up here, so I've seen her a lot, which is nice. But other than that, yeah, he's just there to support me, and he wants to watch the game.
Bobby, your dad, has sacrificed a lot for both you and Tre. What does it mean to him that you're going to be playing in the Grey Cup?
I think it means a lot to him, especially the fact that he actually came out. Usually he only goes to like my games around Toronto. So for him to come out, it's special. And I mean, he's just a proud dad. We went out for dinner and he's wearing my shirt when we're out for dinner. So
Does it embarrass you?
No, you can't be embarrassed by family and friends. My biggest supporter, and I really appreciate him.
What are the next 24 hours going to look like for you?
Well, I'm going to finish watching Outer Banks. I got a couple episodes left. I think we have a couple more meetings with the guys, and yeah, probably a phone call to my girlfriend. That's about it.
We'll have fun tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Great to see the Canadian players putting their stamp on this great Canadian tradition. And the Grey Cup Festival, another great Canadian tradition. Amar Doman, owner of the BC Lions, when we come back, but let's savor some more Tyrell Ford.
Another guy that we had to mention, we only talk about his brother, is Tyrell Ford. I'm looking for him to have a big game.
Intercepted! Ford will take it away! And that will do it for the Banjo Bowl!
Intercepted. Tyrell Ford adds to his total.
Tyrell Ford is a shutdown player already.
Yes, sir.
Short-lived career. Just love watching that kid play.
Fun time here at the Grey Cup Festival for fans in every color. Elks fans, Lions fans, you don't have to be taking part in the game, of course, to enjoy everything that the Grey Cup Festival has to offer. And we have seen a show all day long here on Grey Cup Saturday, counting you down to kick off for the big one. And we've got a very special guest here, a host of sorts here, Amar Doman of the BC Lions, the esteemed owner who has brought this team to new heights. Fans are returning to the Dome, filling the place up. At 5-1, I'm sure you really had visions of orange to the rafters there at BC Place, but you still have to be very proud about what this place looks like right now this week.
Thanks for that. Number one, we started the year thinking, things were going to go a little bit different. But I'll tell you what, being here around the fans at the Grey Cup, our job is to produce the best product we can for the CFL. When we came into the business here, I'm going to say just over 3 years ago now, we wanted to resurrect the business in BC, the fan base. We had 6,000 kids through in the last 2 days, all wearing orange. We're doing our best, and I'll tell you what, it's evidencing by the fan base showing up at BC Place, and it's also evidenced, quite frankly, I would say, by the older and younger generation. I'm after the younger generation as well. They got us.
I got a question that I'm just dying to ask, and I'm going to do it. Okay, so, you put a lot into this football team. Your heart and soul. How pissed off were you when they lost the semifinal? I want to finish this. I've been a coach and a GM, and I'm telling you, I go in and I'll kick. I might do things by myself. How pissed off were you, and then what did you do to get your anger out?
If
you were pissed,
I was definitely feeling it. I'm still a bit gutted. It was just such a topsy-turvy year. I'll get to the last part of your question in a second, but the year was so like this. We had 3 quarterbacks. A whole bunch of things were changing, and injuries. It was a very difficult year to deal with. And I always say I'm the biggest BC Lions fan. I'm not trying to coach the team or pick players or do those kind of things, but really, I'm going to tell you, it personally hurt for sure. We'd win some big games, and it was, we finished 9-9, so that's a tough way. I think whether you're a coach, whether you're an owner or anything, you're up one, you're down one. It's like, being at the tables or something, and you're winning some, you're losing some. Yeah. You're not getting anywhere. What did I do? Did I kick the couch maybe? Probably did.
I'm gonna ask you.
My foot's still sore.
Everybody wants to know that. What does the owner do when
you should ask my kids. They'll tell you what I was really doing.
I saw him over there. I thought,
they stayed away from Dad for a couple hours.
I'm going to ask you this. Besides Jim checking whether you kick your dog and you're ready to injure your dog, how do you, on away games, I think this is an interesting thing, when the team's on the other side of the country, how are your nerves? What are you trying to do? Like, do you have a routine you do, when you're watching the game from afar?
I do. I've got a routine. I always say I'm not going to have a beer until they score first touchdown.
Okay.
And so I've got to hold off on that until we get something in the bank. And I like to have the family and kids over when they're on the road. And really, again, my kids are all young, almost 15, 13, 11. Their friends are all into it. So again, kind of spreading that around when they're on the road and hosting a good party at the house.
Let me ask you this, you have a very successful company. Maybe tell the fans 1 or 2 things about it, but I'd like to see, what did you bring from your corporation to the BC Lions? What's one thing you can think of to help with whatever culture you're trying to build?
Yeah, certainly. I won't bore the fans today with, our lumber and building products businesses. We've gotten quite large, and our family's been in 100 years. What we've tried to bring to the BC Lions is, out of the business aspect of it, number one, class, honesty, and investment. So those 3 things, I think if we can continue to do that here in BC, this brand will get bigger and bigger. And you can see what's going on here at Grey Cup. Even though we're not in this tournament, we are having an absolute great party here. So if we can continue to be a class organization with who we hire, who we put in the right people, the right place, all that old stuff that we all know, right? We're committed to doing that here for decades. We're not going away as a family with the BC Lions or the CFL. And if I can help the CFL in any way across Canada, I am all in.
Outstanding. Thank you.
You're also a concert promoter of sorts, because you've been getting this reputation of kicking off the season with the band. We're thinking Jonas Brothers right now. Our minds are on. But Fitty, LL Cool J, have you cast the line in the water yet for next year's big guest?
Well, we kicked it off the first time with One Republic, which was amazing, and they had that Top Gun hit, and that was super. We're just kind of getting rebooted here. And my strategy there is, look, let's get everybody to come into the building, even people that may come just for the act. I don't care. Come see. They're going to hang around for the Lions game. Yeah. They're going to see the experience and the show that we're putting on. So we just have to bring them in. And also, who doesn't like a big, huge kickoff party? So we're going to continue to do that for years to come. It's going to be tough to top Fitty, though, to be honest with you.
What part of watching a game do you enjoy the most as a fan? And sure. As a fan, as an owner, is it different?
Well, it is, and during the game, because we're hosting a lot of sponsors and VIPs, and I'm running around a lot, which I love, because we're here to rebuild the CFL and talk to people that have spent their money coming in and buying a suite. I'm going to walk around, talk to the fans. So when we're doing that, that's great. I get home, I watch you guys, I put on TSN, and I'm there up late night, get a glass of wine going. I'm going to watch that game, watch the great commentary TSN has, because I love hearing that and the different analysis. It's a bit blurry during the game.
Real quick, what's a crazy thing about this league or just football in general? Like, I didn't know the computers or this and that, or like the practice schedule. Is there anything crazy when you took over? Like, what's going on with football? I never thought this happened in football.
Frankly, it was all that stuff, like the days they practice, the post-games, moratoriums, all those kind of the autopsies after the game, all that stuff. And then really learning about how there is no off season. I used to think, first year, I'm like, okay, what are you guys going to do for 6 months? And I learned quickly, it's all about those 6 months to drive the next 6. Yeah. And it's right to work. So very impressive and very proud to be part of this.
You've got an off season to change ahead. When the confetti has settled on Sunday, we're going to be looking in your direction for all the news here in the next couple of weeks. So we look forward to that. Amar, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, gentlemen.
Amar Doman, owner of the BC Lions. We mentioned Fitty and LL Cool J and others. Well, the Jonas Brothers, they weren't a big enough draw on their own. How about the potential for another celebrity appearance or two during the 111th Grey Cup halftime show tomorrow night? FanDuel has a number of novelty markets for the big game, including whether we will see some other celebrities join the Jonas Brothers on stage during the half. You can check out a long list of novelty props available for the Grey Cup right now on the FanDuel app. We mentioned MVP odds earlier as well. Brady Oliveira certainly a part of that. We'll get into more of what he brings to the table in the Grey Cup in just a moment when we come back here, setting you up for the big game on Sunday. On Thursday, Brady Oliveira was named this season's most outstanding player at the CFL Awards. The Bombers running back is the first Canadian MOP since John Cornish in 2013. Oliveira was also named most outstanding Canadian for the second straight season as well, and caught up with our very own Farhan Lalji following the award wins.
Brady, we've had the other award winners hold a mic in one hand and their award in the other, but you got two hands full. What's it like to be the fourth Canadian ever, first for Manitoba to win both MOP and Most Outstanding Canadian?
Man, it's a blessing, honestly, truly a blessing. Like I said in my speech up there, none of this is possible without, a great team around me, great coaches, and being a part of a first-class organization. So standing up, stood up there with two awards, but, this is my teammates' awards as well. I owe it all to them.
When you hear your name alongside names like John Cornish, Russ Jackson, Tony Gabriel, and, of course, George Reed, what goes through your mind?
These guys are legends, man. Legends, Hall of Famers. The fact that my name is even mentioned with them is crazy. I never thought in a million years I'd be standing here next to you with two awards in my hands and being mentioned alongside of those greats. So I still got a long ways to go. I still think I'm very, young in my career. I still think sky's the limit for myself, and hopefully I continue to, put together great performances on the field, good seasons on the field, and ultimately end up winning more championships.
3 straight years over 1,000 yards. You've led the league in rushing the last 2 years. Take me through what's allowed you to be so durable.
Yeah, that's the name of the game, right? You want to be available, and I think for me, it's been recovery. It's truly finding a way to get your body back to as close to 100% every single week, even after a heavy workload the week before. So, spending a lot of time with Al Couture, our head of training staff, and all of his support staff. Man, they make me a priority there and really do whatever it takes to get my body back for the next game. And like I said, recovery, making sure I sleep over 8 hours every night, doing all my hot and cold sessions, and stretching and mobility. And I take that really seriously, and I think that's what allows me to play so strong every single week.
And it didn't start that way this season, right? I mean, you were limited throughout camp. The entire team was dealing with a little bit of that early. Take me through the journey, as much as this team struggled in those first 6 weeks of the season to get to where you are now.
Yeah, it's been a battle. Obviously the way the season started, 0-4, 2-6, me not participating in training camp, getting hurt in that week 1 game, and then missing week 2. It was a slow start for myself, and I think lots of others on the team. So we just needed to get back to the style of play that we know we're capable of playing. And for me, it was getting to, continue to always grow my football IQ. And I think I have a pretty good chemistry along with the offensive line and the receivers and trust in Buck. I think for me, it was physically, my body wasn't there yet. And I think it was a slow start because of that. And then once my body got back underneath me, I think we hit it running, and we were finally getting back to our identity and playing our style of football.
Last thing I'll ask you is, I know these aren't the trophies you want. The one you want is on Sunday. How's the team feeling? What will it mean to you to get that one done after the last 2 seasons?
Yeah, no, these aren't great and all, but I would take a Grey Cup win over these any day in the world. So, the guys are feeling really, really good right now. Practice has been good. We've been flying around. Guys are confident, and again, we're confident because we put so much work in. We have great weeks of preparation so that when we go out there on game day, we can execute and play at a very high level. So, we're excited for Sunday. Obviously a big test ahead of us. We know how good Toronto is, especially their defense. So I'm looking forward to it. I want to always play against the best and beat the best. So I'm locked in and ready to go on Sunday.
Congrats for this. Good luck.
Thanks, Farhan. Appreciate it.
Look at the company he keeps, legendary company and limited company. Just the Fantastic Four here of John Cornish, Tony Gabriel, Russ Jackson, and the one and only Brady Oliveira this season. Most outstanding player and Canadian in the Canadian Football League. With more of this huge season and the potential exclamation mark on the season tomorrow, back to BC Place with Kate and the panel.
Relaxing right now, but Brady Oliveira ran for a league best 1,353 yards this season, just named the top Canadian of the league and also the MOP, the most outstanding player for the first time in his career. A tremendous season once again by Brady Oliveira. Kate Burness back alongside David Sanchez, Matt Dunnigan, Enoch Mwamba, and Milt Stegall as we get set for this 111th Grey Cup. Can't wait to see what a guy like Brady can do. As I just mentioned, on Thursday night at the CFL Awards, he won MOP, he won the top Canadian, but now imagine if he won the Grey Cup and MVP in this game. It would be among some elite territory because the last time, back in 1969, it was Russ Jackson who won all of those awards. And my goodness, if you're a Canadian and do this, you go down in history forever. Not that he already hasn't done a phenomenal job in his career, but just to add that extra cherry on top. And Milt, during the week, we were talking a lot about Brady and the impact that he needs to have in this game. And you brought up a great point. In the 2 Grey Cup wins that the Bombers have had in the past 4 seasons, he really didn't do too much in the big game. It would mean everything for him to do something in this one.
As you mentioned, he didn't do anything in 19 because he wasn't playing. In 2021, he was on the team, but he didn't register a stat. So now he's trying to put it together. Yes, he played well in the last 2 Grey Cups, 82 yards in 2022 and 119 yards last year, but he didn't win. And personally, he just wants to put it together. Of course, he wants his team to win, but he also wants to have a big game. When you're a star, you want your team to win, but you also want to play well. It's not being selfish. You just know if your team is going to win, you need to play well. So Brady Oliveira, I won't say he's not thinking about it because he is thinking about it. He understands how important he is to this team. He understands if he gets going, this team will win the game. Let's be honest. If you can't stop Brady Oliveira, you're not going to stop this team because that opens it up for everything else.
Hold on, has Zach had huge games in the last couple Grey Cups?
No.
So that's their two star players and both different ways to have success. They both want to have big games. I know that Brady is the most valuable player in this team, most outstanding player in the league. If I think this team's going to win tomorrow, I don't think it's going to be through Brady.
Whoa.
I think Toronto finds out a way to stop Brady. And Zach, I think that Zach is going to be the guy. I think Zach is going to carry this team tomorrow. He's going to put them on his shoulders because they're going to I think they force him to throw the ball. And I think Zach relishes that opportunity because to exactly what you just said, he hasn't had a ton of success in the recent Grey Cups, and he's also a great player. I think Zach wants to carry the team and have that stamp on his career and legacy as well.
You want that to happen because you bet on it, Chad.
He's not even smiling. But when you look at Brady Oliveira, he's got literally everything that you would want to have in a running back. He's got the physicality. He's got the strength. He can get some yards after contact, and he can continue to play. His physicality obviously is one of his biggest attributes. But one of the things that we often overlook is his patience behind the line of scrimmage. Obviously, the scheme plays a role in that, but his ability to be patient, to watch the plays
plays and the holes open up, and sometimes take a couple steps to the left, to the right, just to buy some time. I think is amazing when you look at him, because yes, he is physical. He can do that, but man, his patience is something that you have to appreciate, especially as a defensive linebacker.
Yeah, and coming from you, that's huge, right? That's the tip of the hat to you know, the competitor and what you tried to stop your entire career. And Slim Fit, I can say that at the end of the day, when it comes to Brady Oliveira, if he gets above 6 stiff arms in his football game, and you saw on those couple of clips right there, in just 2 short runs, he's had 4 stiff arms, and he's just getting people off his legs. And to me, it's one of those scenarios where he is pads and thighs, and that's all you see typically. And when he breaks out in the open, people are trying to go low because you don't want to tackle him high. And this gets that stiff arm going. And if he's above 6 stiff arms in, say, in the first half, we know he's rolling. But what Buck Pierce did with him last week was incredible. He was like non-existent first 2, 3, 4 series of the game. They were throwing the football, and they got the defense off balance that way. And to me, then he took over. And if you start playing Brady ball and play with a lead like they did last week, that's a tough combination to
Real
stop.
quick, Slim Fit, how many times did you get stiffed on from Brady?
No, he never got me.
No.
He never got me.
Hey,
Check the tape.
What?
Check the tape.
Check the tape.
Check the tape.
That's what we always do. And you know what? Here's the thing, too. You know why I like Brady O in this game? He's a bad weather back, and right now it's about minus 10 inside BC place. So I like Brady Oliveira to have a monster game because this is the tundra right now.
Caperness is going to push back that it is a climate-controlled atmosphere at BC Place Stadium. There will be no snow. We know that for Grey Cup Sunday. That's about it. Back with a lot more fun here for the Grey Cup Festival. The festivities continue at the Grey Cup Festival, and on inside you can join the kids zip line, but for those that are a little braver of heart, you can go outside and jump on the big one. On Tuesday, Kate and Milt did just that. They took to the air at the Grey Cup Festival.
I don't know if it's a race.
Trying out the RBC Harbor zip line in downtown Vancouver. One of 2 zip line options out there, with the other happening overlooking the city. It's a tight race as well over the beautiful waterfront. Kate would ultimately get the win over her fellow panelists. One of the many activities, though, that one can take in here this weekend at these Grey Cup festivities for the 111th Grey Cup. And we are getting ever so close to the final hour here. Jim Barker, Paul Lapalisse joining myself here inside the sails, as they're known on the waterfront of BC or of Vancouver. Guys, I'm very jealous. You guys seem to have a lot of fun just throughout the year on this panel.
Yep. Yeah, it's a lot of fun to be able to kind of come together each week. A bunch of us, we watch a game, we get to talk and spend a lot of time together and enjoy this great game and just enjoy our friendships.
Well, Kate she's kind of the instigator of the whole thing.
She's trouble.
And she knows how to push all of our buttons and get us to do things we have no business doing. So it's a blast. Everybody gets along great. And I think that's what helps the show work the way it works.
Absolutely. Here's some highlights of the year that was.
Oh boy, this could be bad.
There we go. Straight.
Gentlemen, it is nice to be home. Mark Fulton, our Fender guy 69 here, said the first CFL season with the CFL on TSN panel, the wardrobe rankings.
Surprise!
Here we go.
Surprise!
Here we go.
Mark?
This 3-minute warning is dedicated to Dwayne Ford. 40.
Tired of people telling me I can't block.
Oh my God! Oh my goodness! Get back in frame. No one can see. Oh, Enoch took him to the parking lot.
Telling me I can't block.
2 weeks ago, Milt attempted to block Enoch. It was a disaster. At halftime, Milt has informed me he would like to get his revenge.
Let's go, baby. Things have changed. I'm ready, baby.
Here we go.
Ready. I'm winning.
He has swagger on the field, but he might have even more off of it. Well, not as much as the panel.
You know you want to do it, do it, jump to it, do it. You know you want to do it, jump to it, do it. You know you got to do it, jump to it, do it. You know you want to it, do it.
Yeah, we all know I look the best. Here's Matthew Shinetti.
It'll be very interesting tonight what Montreal does to move him around to make sure he gets as many opportunities so he can get some of those high points. Hey, Kate, speaking about high point the ball, I'm going to out-jump this guy for a ball. Let's go right now.
I love that I get to be the QB for this. You brought your gloves?
Yeah, look at this.
This is ridiculous. I'm going to left a little bit here. I love this. Ready? Throw it up. As someone who has had a chunk of hair pulled out, that does not feel nice whatsoever. I'm not believing Janarian and Grant that didn't hurt. Maybe we could reenact a little bit. Okay, I like this. I like this a lot. Yes! I got one!
You got one!
I got one!
Back when I had hair, when I had my long ponytail.
How long ago was that?
That was probably 30, 40 years ago.
Like never?
Rod, Lapo, Farhan, you aren't the only ones who are prepared for country nights.
Well, it isn't John Wayne.
Country? I thought the CTR was for construction.
Thanksgiving, it's a family affair, so of course Peyton LaPolice had to rejoin us in studio. We met back at the 2015 Grey Cup. She's here to help me break it down. And guess what? They grow up so fast, just like when Milt met baby Enoch.
I hate that top, Bill. Watch this celebration. Old school. Yeah. You can do it. I can do it.
Do it, Bill. Can I do it?
You can do it. Get
I'm glad they laid down the moving blankets for Milt going horizontal. They call this work, don't they? It doesn't look like it's much work for you guys.
Yeah, amazing. Watching some of that and remembering how it came about, truly fun. I mean, the whole thing is truly fun.
Well, when I did that bit with Milt, I just didn't want to fall down. I didn't care who caught the ball. I didn't want to fall down. He almost fell down when he went for that dive and one-handed catch. And you're right about people say, that's what you do for work. When my daughter was in, I told, hey, guys, you got to tell my daughter I really work really hard every day. Like, it's not all fun and games, but it's outstanding. And it can't be all football. It can't be all just talking. Like, you have to mix it in. And like you said, Kate's our leader, and she does a great job of keeping it honest and making it a great time.
And Straight Fire just could not be any better. Although we are workshopping some new segments for next season.
Oh, boy.
Okay.
So I don't know if you'd be game to this bit of analysis. The coach potatoes.
Nice. Well, as long as it's beer. If it's sponsored by beer, we can drink on the job.
We could have costumes for you made up.
Nice.
We'll see how that goes.
A nice couch, a nice old leather couch.
We don't need final answers right now. You guys have so much fun throughout the year. Matthew Shinetti has a whole lot of fun, and he's been having some fun this week, too, as we get you closer to the Grey Cup.
That's more exciting than anything I've ever done on the sideline. Very cool moment. Very cool. Makes you appreciate it. Yeah, like kind of at the second decisions they got to make in those situations. It's crazy.
This Grey Cup Festival has been packed throughout the entirety of the week. This day on Saturday, of course, with the game so close, Everybody's very excited to fill that place, BC Place Stadium, for the game tomorrow. The game's starting to take a little bit more focus. Back inside the Grey Cup Festival, joined by yet another guest who's looking very weird still. It's still odd seeing you in a different color. John Bowman joining us after 14 seasons with the Alouettes, 9-time CFL Eastern All-Star, and as the jewelry would tell you there, folks, he's been to this game, he's played in it. It must feel weird to be on the other side and just kind of looking at it.
I mean, unfortunately, I've gotten used to it over the last couple of years, but playing in the game, getting that experience early, I think 06 was my first year, and we went to the Grey Cup, and getting just a taste of it, and you can tell your guys, hey, this is what you want to do every year. And we went 4 times in 5 years, and I thought we were going to go every year, and I didn't go back ever.
A lot of us get that feeling, don't we?
For sure.
That's the way. How long have you been coaching now?
I just finished my 3rd year coaching.
All here?
All in BC.
So this is your not your 3rd real cycle, because now you've established yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
And I hear your name all the time about being a coordinator. I know we're not going to talk about that, but I hear it all over the place. What's it like going through your first set time of hearing all the rumors and am I going to be here or who's going to be there? Truly, I think fans would love to hear what it's like for a young coach going through that for the first time.
And I'll just say it's exciting and it's nerve-wracking. I mean, you've been a coach many years. When you're just getting in and you're scared to get fired and you don't know if people are catching on to what you're trying to teach, but you're excited because you see, like I got Matthew Betts and I got Sione Tuema and I got Covington and Josh Banks, and they show my coaching in their action, and that's my resume. So you're excited because you know what you can do.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, I've been going against those guys, and I know they're being coached up well because I used to feel a lot more comfortable in BC, and about 3 years ago, all of a sudden that D-line started getting there a little bit faster.
Yeah, and you feel them, Bo.
For sure.
So you prepared for both of these teams.
For sure.
Which offensive line? I mean, what are the differences between Winnipeg and Toronto's offense? They're both physical.
For sure.
What are the main differences, though, as a defensive line coach, and you're preparing your guys that you look at?
I mean, and I'll say this as no slight to any group. They all got their strengths and weaknesses, and we know Winnipeg's been together longer. They're a little bit longer in the tooth. They work together better than Toronto. Like, as a group of 5 or 6 or 7 sometimes, Winnipeg jails and they move the front and they do all of that. Toronto, individually, guys can win their matchup. Like, from left tackle all the way to right tackle, one-on-one, they can handle business. To me, Winnipeg does it more as a cohesive 6 or 7, 5, and a running back. But both great groups, and I think it should be a good game.
All right, so then without being politically correct, then who's going to have the most sacks? Which O-line do you want to go up against?
If I was playing, no, I mean, I think the way Toronto plays, they should have more sacks because we know what Winnipeg does on second down and longer downs. But I think Toronto's defensive line should win the battle.
Okay.
Now that's great information. How far away do you think you are from being a defensive coordinator?
I mean,
that's a big jump.
For
it
sure.
Really is.
I mean, the only thing that gets me nervous, not nervous, but hesitant, is like you got to call plays, and it's not a script thing on defense. It's a field thing. Like, what formation am I getting, or what's the down and distance, and things I'm like. Ryan and Rick has done a good job of showing us what to do and what kind of situation you want to be in, man or inside man or outside man, or these situations you want to be in zone. And it comes with reps, just like playing. Anything good comes with reps, and we've wet our teeth in the preseason a little bit with RP, and we'll see how it goes.
Any cheat codes to hand out to Toronto to stop Brady Oliveira, either along the ground or in the air if he's coming out of the backfield?
For me, I tell my D-line, with physical backs like that, don't try to make the play unless the play is ready to be made. You'll see guys peeking over blocks, trying to make a tackle while you're still getting blocked. You can't do that. You got to let the running back come to you, dominate your gap, and let everybody else do their job. And Brady, he's a good guy. He's a great running back, but he's not an elusive edge-to-edge guy. He'll have to run into you to run you over.
Last one for you. Do you have any sacks against me?
I would say I have a few. Actually, I have my last sack against you.
The last one.
I have my last sack against you.
Now that was spoken like a true future defensive coordinator.
Somebody's going to get the elation of getting one of those rings, or a group of guys are going to get that on Sunday. You know what it feels like.
Questionably is the biggest storyline for the Argos coming in to the Grey Cup. What can Toronto expect from Arbuckle? Well, FanDuel is expecting quite a productive day through the air for Arbuckle. 261.5 is his passing yards over-under. For me, that is way too high. For one, against a Winnipeg defense that is very stingy against opposing quarterbacks, but also with regards to the Argonauts and their game plan. I see a lot of Kadeem Carey, a lot of Deontay McMahon, and perhaps some Daniel Adebaboye as well. The Argos will utilize their running backs and won't force Arbuckle to throw downfield with a lot of as far as being it often, and it's a major problem for the Toronto Argonauts with regards to Arbuckle, and that's something they're going to have to overcome here. I like the under for Arbuckle. I like the under for his passing touchdowns as well at 1.5. I think there's a lot of value there, fading Arbuckle and his passing prowess ahead of the Grey Cup on Sunday.
AK, and still more festivities here at the Grey Cup Festival. Superheroes, well, all of them on the field tomorrow at BC Place.
Evan Holm is an all-star. I mean, he is an all-star halfback. He probably still doesn't get enough credit.
Evan Holm, that's how you play defense. Timed it perfectly.
Goes up and did not hang on. Home again. Home denying everything tonight.
Evan Holm wasn't an all-star in the all-CFL team, but this guy should be.
Looking at the Grey Cup 5-tool showdown with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the Toronto Argonauts. Our 5 categories: offense, defense, special teams, coaches, and intangibles. Now, look, I can do a half an hour hit on that alone with one topic, like offense, for instance. You can go quarterbacks, you can go running backs, receiving core, offensive line. You got to break it all down. But, hey, let's be real here. Offensively, I'm going to give the edge clearly to Zach Collaros and Brady Oliveira. Enough said. You can compare the receivers, and they've both got outstanding receiving cores, offensive lines that have got it done this football season. And but clearly, you take Zach Collaros over Nick Arbuckle, and you look at Brady Oliveira over Kadeem Carey all day long.
Gets it to Brady Oliveira. Touchdown, Winnipeg.
For defense, I'm giving the edge to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. This is a pick 'em here, too. I'm talking about 2 hard-nosed defenses, get after it. It comes to defensive line for Toronto. They're outstanding the way they mix it up and the depth that they have. Wynton McManus in the middle. I'll take him over Tony Jones. The secondary of Toronto is long. They make plays. When I say long, I mean they're tall, lengthy, and it's difficult on quarterbacks to see those spots, certainly during zone situations. But I look at the defense, and I'm going to take the Winnipeg Blue Bombers because that football team's number 1 in the least amount of points allowed in the game, yards and passing yards. So they got the job done consistently all season long, and they get the nod there.
Home denying everything tonight.
For coaches, I'm going to give the nod to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and Mike O'Shea and his staff. Let's just talk about head coaches. Osh, 10 years in, this guy's been outstanding. He trusts the process, an 0-4 start. He never once wavered. Just take it 1 week at a time and trust the process. And that's what he's got his team to buy into. And Mike O'Shea's been doing it at a high level, a Hall of Fame level for quite some time now. Got his team back in the show for the 5th year in a row.
Relax, shuffle, right? Your back shoulder. That guy won't outrun you ever. All right, you just overran a little bit. All right, hey, you're still excited.
For special teams, I'm giving it to Toronto Argonauts. Oh, look, Mickey Donovan versus Mike Miller. Great matchup as coordinators. You look at the players on the field. For Toronto, you got Hairolahu and Haggerty. For Winnipeg, you're looking at Castillo and Sheehan. Those guys are washed. But clearly what puts it in Toronto's favor is Jadarian Grant. Oddly, he started his first 4 years with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and created havoc for all the opposition. His first 4 years, and now he's on the Toronto Argonauts football team, and we know how dangerous he is. So That, in my mind, gives them that edge big time, and it's as explosive as it gets in the Canadian Football League.
Janarian Grant down the right side, and he'll take it in for the touchdown.
For intangibles, man, this is a tie. As one intangible, if Winnipeg can find a way to get out front and play with the lead, yeah, they're going to play some Brady ball, and that's an intangible that's in their favor. But last week, offensively, Ryan Dinwiddie kept Janarian Grant on the football field looking for some more explosive plays. I think we can see that also with maybe a Deontay McMahon, an explosive player that every time he touches the football, he makes good things happen. So an intangible goes to Toronto with the opportunity and the possibility of Deontay McMahon being on the field a little bit more.
Dumps it out to McMahon. The 5 sees some space. End zone, got it. Touchdown, Toronto.
So there you have it, my 5-tool showdown between the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the Toronto Argonauts for the 111th Grey Cup.
You know who else has intangibles? Paul LaPolice. On Tuesday, he, in partnership with Dreams Take Flight Ottawa, accompanied kids to visit Disney World for the day. The charity specializes in taking kids with challenges down to Orlando for an unforgettable experience alongside our panelists. Lapo's annual trip features over 100 children joining him to spend a day at the happiest place on earth. Looks like a lot of fun. It's now become a part of your Grey Cup week tradition, and it sounds like a bit of a grind, honestly.
I've asked them to change the day to this, but it hasn't worked out so much. Yes, we take 100 underprivileged kids. There's 8 chapters throughout Canada. Please try to help in this great charity. So what we did at the airport at 2:30, plane left at 5, landed at 8, in the park by 10. We had 10 till 7:30, back on the plane by 9. Landed at 12:15 and gave them back to their parents. But it's just a spectacular day for these kids, and you know, they just have a lot of these kids have never been on a plane before, so to have this day, it's great to be a part of. I like to be a chaperone. We're chaperones with them, and it's been pretty special.
The plane ride on the way home is the most tired place on earth after the most happiest place on earth.
Yes, there's pictures of me zoned out and zonked out. You know, talking about kids, and I think it's great, is when I do my coaches' playbooks, I'm always trying to make sure I can impart some knowledge, and I always try at Grey Cup week to take a high school team, and maybe they can teach us something. Seaquam High School, I was there yesterday. We broke down this vaunted defense for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. All right, Jordan Younger's done a great job making sure that this team does not allow completions. And how do they do it? They do it with a different coverage. It's a coverage called match coverage or matchup man. We broke it down and took a look at it, so we got a little coach's playbook for you with high school kids. I'm in North Delta, BC with the Seaquam Seahawks. We're going to talk about Winnipeg's defense. Their pass secondary is amazing. Best in the Canadian Football League at keeping people from completing passes. How do they do that? Because they play this matchup man coverage or match coverage. We're going to explain it to you. But before that, I got to teach you what zone coverage is. Okay, guys, we ready for our zone coverage? All right, here we go. Ready, go, set, hunt. Okay, pause right there. Zone coverage is this. You just run to spots on a field, designated areas. He works to this space, he works to this space. And at times in zone coverage, you have 2 people in one area as a responsibility. This player is always going to stay on the deeper route and make you throw the farther away route and rally up and make that tackle. That's called zone. Offenses try to put one player in zone in a bind. Okay, head back, let's go. We're going to go back and show you what Winnipeg does is they recognize the routes and then they decide, well, if this guy goes out, somebody's coming in. So they pattern read everything, and then they still try to play, I want to call it man coverage, but it's zone that turns into man. Simplest way to explain this, because there's a lot to this. Okay, guys, you ready for match? Okay, ready, go, set, hunt. Stop right there. Good. So what happened? Remember, the zone player was standing here. They don't want to get leverage. They don't want to have 2 people in one zone. So he sees it. He runs and takes that one. He sees one going out right here. He knows one's coming in. So he turned and ran underneath it. He took that one.
everybody's covered. So that's what the difference is. You don't just drop the spots, you read how the plays played out, and then you adjust accordingly. All right, it's the exact same thing to the boundary. We're gonna go ahead and walk through here. Here's my O lineman. Look at these guys, they're killers. Look at this, the D line. We got a mohawk on a D lineman. Kidding me? Excellent, all right? Party in the back, right? All right, all right. So now I got my man P right here, right? All right, to the boundary. We got 2 receivers. We have 2 defensive back and a linebacker. This linebacker's doing the same thing, reading the routes. So as P comes in here, he's gonna take him man to man. Now he takes him wherever he is on the field. He picks him up, okay? These 2 guys now would take that player and figure out what happens. Come back, P. If P goes vertical, okay, the will linebacker's gonna play underneath him and wait for the first player to come into him. Okay, can we show him that one now? Okay, widen out, make sure you're wider, wider, wider. Okay, ready, go, set, hut. Goes underneath, pause right there. So, the will linebacker's running. He sees that guy go high. Well, if he's gonna go deep, usually a curl's gonna happen out there. So he walks out, takes the curl and puts him in a situation where they got 2 people for the deep routes, okay, the 1 deep route, and they have that guy covered. That's the difference instead of just dropping the spots on the field. I've got 2 clips of Winnipeg versus Toronto, week 8. Let's take a look.
Here you have a corner route and a curl. The first thing you would have to understand is sometimes the back is covered man-to-man by a linebacker. Makes it easier for the defense. Now, Adam Bighill, he's running inside out trying to find who's breaking in. He sees it. He runs right to the curl, and now you have 2 players on the deep routes. Nick has nowhere to go with a football, and he has to try to make an off-schedule play. Now to the field, you have a 3-receiver picture. So how does this play out? Here's the pattern concept. It is handled differently every time. Watch the low player, the Sam linebacker, strong side linebacker. He picks it up man-to-man. Now the other 2 players, one's inside, one's outside to handle it. And into the boundary, it looks exactly the same. Big Hill underneath and 2 people over the next route, and they drive and make a play on the ball.
Now this defense takes a lot of reps. That's why you see Winnipeg doesn't do a lot of different coverages. They either drop everybody into coverage, or when they need to pressure, they bring the house. They bring everybody. They did it a couple times last week in the West Final. I'm looking forward to seeing what Toronto has for this vaunted defense this weekend. Hey, Seahawks, thank you very much. Hey, guess what? Jalen Tyson Philpott won a championship here in this organization, so we probably got some CFLers here. Coach Kevin Phillips, thank you very much. Hey, David, you got us. Let's break us down.
Bring it up. And with the field line, all day long, all night long. Let's go Hawks on 3. 1, 2, 3, Hawks.
Lapo's been working so hard. He deserves a little bit of fun. We told you he was going to the bouncy castles. Down the slide he goes, wearing the tailored suit. You know it's Grey Cup week.
Yes! Whoa, that's straight fire right there!
Do you ever think about what you'll have for dinner during a game?
During a game? Oh yeah, for sure.
If I'm not hungry during the game, be like, damn, I want some pasta tonight.
I definitely crave chicken tenders around the second quarter. It's been a problem.
If the game gets a little bit boring, you know, like if you're up by a couple touchdowns and there's only like a couple minutes left in the fourth, yeah, you could definitely start daydreaming. I don't think I've thought about dinner, but I've definitely thought about other stuff during the game, yeah. I was wondering if like my girlfriend took my dogs out before she came to the game.
Do you ever look at another team's jersey and wish that was yours?
No.
Back in like 2017, Montreal had some like gray uniforms I used to like. Ever since I've been in Toronto, I don't really like Montreal at all anymore. So.
Do you ever commit a penalty and just hope the refs forget about it or don't see it?
Not really. I think that's one of the things that I do really well is I really don't commit a lot of penalties at all. Even the one in Sass that they threw definitely wasn't a penalty. But yeah, no, I play a pretty clean game, so I'm never worried about that.
Do you guys have a phone on the sideline, and have you ever tried to call someone if you do?
We do have a phone on the sideline. I don't make any calls on it. People do call me on there a few times. My coach has been up there. One time my son was up there one time, and they just Surprise, Dad.
No. I haven't tried to call anybody random. It does work. It goes to the people in the box. So.
Are there any other apps on like the iPads or the tablets that you guys have, or is it just strictly for watching film?
No, I don't be using other apps. Just use the app to watch film.
It's strictly for watching film, but I can tell you some guys have definitely tried to close the bar and go to something else for sure.
Sometimes do you really just not want to tackle someone? You're like, oh my God, I gotta just tackle this guy.
Nah, definitely not. Like when you're just out there, you're not thinking about it.
You're not thinking about it.
But I remember I came out the sidelines one time and I was watching Brady run and I was like, yeah, I wouldn't want to tackle him.
Do you ever wish the yellow line on TV was real?
Oh yeah, for sure. That would make everything a lot easier.
Yeah. I don't, because I feel like it'd be a distraction, but I know my wife does.
For a long time, I actually used to think I used to see it on the field. That's probably because I was heck of tired, but nah, yeah, for sure.
When the cameras are super close on you in random moments, is it hard not to laugh and pay attention to them?
It's awkward. Yeah, it's at all times, even if it's not that close. Yeah, it's weird sometimes. Yeah. Especially like the national anthem really gets me when they're like right up in your face. It's kind of funny. It's like, do I smile? Do I not? Do I look serious? Because I'm not a serious guy. I just smile a lot. I can't help it.
Do you wear one pair of gloves all game, all season? What is the glove situation like?
So I like to change gloves about every 2 weeks. I usually wear a pair and then wear them throughout the week in practice, and then by that time I don't feel like they're stiff enough for me to really grab a ball.
Almost every game. I try not to, because I don't be wanting to bombard our equipment staff. So I know that's a lot for them just to, I hear he always asking for some gloves. Nah, I don't try to do that, so.
I kind of keep the same pair until I drop an interception. So I've definitely dropped a couple, so I switched a couple. But they kind of limited us at 3, I mean, which was pretty early, because like, we were on like week 2, and I was like, yeah, can I get this other pair? They're like, haven't you had 3? And I'm like, oh, this is my 3rd pair. Really, it was like my 6th. But I was like, yeah, this is my 3rd one. They're like, hey, you're done for the season. I was like, okay. And then I got one more for playoffs.
I was just going to say, were you done for the season?
I got one more for playoffs, but just for practice because it was cold. So we got like our warm gloves, but yeah.
I can tell you, we definitely have been thinking about food since the start of the show. So that is very similar. And so have the gang at BC Place. But we have to focus. The game is coming. One last chance to hear from Kate and the panel.
Back inside BC Place, all quiet, very cold still here, but won't be in 24 hours time as the countdown to the Grey Cup officially on. Back alongside David Sanchez, Matt Dunnigan, Enoch Mwamba, and Milt Stegall. And I love being inside BC Place, and I like being here the day before, but I'm actually a little envious that we're not at the convention center because Jim Barker was dancing, I heard. Ajou got him to dance. What? I've never seen this before. What? And then the only problem was he didn't yell straight fire right at the camera when he was done. JB, you know that's your job.
No question.
All right, Chez, let's think about this game tomorrow again, and who is your X factor going in?
The most talented player, maybe on either of these teams, it could be Kenny Lawler. He's that explosive. He's that special. And if he gets one-on-one outside, he could be the MVP of this game. And I look at this matchup and expect who they're going to try to stop. Where is everyone looking at? Well, it's Brady O. And with that and the Argos focusing on the greatness of the league's most outstanding player, Brady Oliveira, that could be one-on-one for this guy who 31 of his 45 catches have been for first downs. He's averaging almost 18 yards a grab. And when you look at the explosiveness he runs routes with, they move him all over the field. I really think that Kenny Lawler, with his skill set and the fact that he might get one-on-ones out there, he's my X factor.
Yeah, and yeah, it's a good choice. I'm going a little off the board with mine, and that's Deontay McMahon, second-year player from McNeese State. Look, he had 48 carries this year and 4 touchdowns. You look at Brady Oliveira, he had 239 carries and only 3 touchdowns. To me, it's just proof in the pudding that when he touches the ball, good things happen. I think last week I saw Ryan Dinwiddie keep Janarian Grant on the football field to find some more explosive plays and to help out the running game. I think you're going to see that with Deontay McMahon this week in this ball game because he's an explosive player. Reminds me of a Kevin Brown from Edmonton type of explosiveness. Good things happen when he has the ball in his hand. Deontay McMahon is going to be a factor tomorrow.
D-Money's definitely a good pick, Matty. I'm going to look at Nick Dembski. Nick Dembski's a guy for this team who does so much. He's a Swiss Army knife, really. He can do anything. He can run, he played a running back position. He could be a slot receiver. He can go out to the wide side of the field as well. But if you look at the game last week, Zach Collaros had 26 pass attempts, and 10 of them, just under half, were to Nick Dembski. And he didn't have that many yards. He had about 49 yards, but 10 targets. He played a huge role for that team. You talk about Ches, Brady Oliveira, who was a focal part of that offense. Well, Nick Dembski is one of the guys that we often forget about, and when he comes in and he makes plays, he is extremely effective.
Last week in the East Final, Toronto Argonauts more than likely would not have had the momentum coming out of the half if not for Matt X Factor, and that's DeMonte Coxie, 6'3", 200-pound receiver for the Toronto Argonauts. And we all know Polk is their big play guy, but Coxie is capable of doing that, as we saw last week going into that half. He made 2 big plays that might have been the reason why they're in this position they're in right now. And I think he's going to have some opportunities to make some plays tomorrow. We know Nick Arbuckle, maybe sometimes he likes to throw the ball up. And this is a guy who can go up and get it, and because of that, he's my X Factor.
I know I wasn't allowed to pick an X Factor, but I feel left out, so I'm going to pick one anyways. I'm picking Janarian Grant.
Yes.
And look, with no
one.
Chad Kelly in this game, they're going to need so much from their defense and special teams, and he was dynamic all season, the best special teams player this season. So guess what? I know you don't have a banner for it. I know you don't have clips of it, but Janarian Grant, just so we have this on tape, when he has an absolutely monster game on Grey Cup as we send it back to Blake.
Thanks so much, and feel free to double up. We're going to take the handoff, if you will, from that panel and discuss our own X Factors. Guys, you can take one that's been chosen. You can go off the board. Bo, what do you think?
Well, Matty, I can tell you I'm not going to double up on yours, brother. But I'm going to say, listen, I talked earlier about Wayne McManus and how he has to stop the dual award winner right there in Brady Oliveira, because that's who they're going to run the offense through. We want to know, are they going to chuck it downfield to Kenny Lawler? But the guy that has to potentially help stop both of those is a free safety, Royce Metchie. All right, if they're going to come up, they're going to put 6 in the line, on the old line. If they're going to bring double sub blocks in order to get Brady Oliveira into the second level. Royce Metchie has to be able to come down, make tackles, but he's also got to be able to stay back, because when they are at play action, Zach Collaros, Kenny Lawler, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers might be in the best in the league.
My X factor, and if you want to throw the ball downfield, get those plays, it's going to be, for me, inside Patty Neufeld. 13-year veteran, 11 years with the Bombers. He's one of my favorite guys of all time to coach. He's one of the leaders of this veteran offensive line. He's going to need to be at his best against this vaunted defense. Jake Ceresna, Ralph Hawley, tied for the CFL lead in sacks with 8 each. The pressure comes from the interior of this defensive line, so he's got to be ready to go and make plays. The Bombers going to want to run the football. That's going to be part of what they want to do. But when they have to throw the football, they've got to hold up on the inside. There were 12 sacks in the 2 games that the Argonauts played. And I know he struggled at times, so he plays his best game, and Liam Dobson plays his best game on that side. I think they win the Grey Cup.
Listen, I'm going to act like I took some Verity serum right now, which is true serum if you don't know. For all my nerds out there like myself, the O-line, you're absolutely correct. The O-line, both sides are the most important players on the field tomorrow.
We're going to get into predictions, so I'll hold back the questions now. We'll finish up with the predictions, but we do need to check in one last time with our insiders, Dave Naylor and Farhan Walsh.
Dave, this is Randy Ambrosie's final Grey Cup as the CFL commissioner, so there's been a lot of conversation about who his potential replacement would be and the direction of the league in terms of its top official going forward. What can you tell us?
Well, first, in terms of leading candidates, we bounced that off a lot of the senior administration of the CFL and his teams this week. Not a lot of names popping out. I don't think there's a favorite candidate by any means. And look, they're doing some work in the background here this week to develop the profile of what they want in the next commissioner, but that process will not start formally until they have a Board of Governors meeting in December. I think Randy Ambrosie Ambrosie is going to be the commissioner of the CFL for a good amount of time in 2025. As for things they're looking for in the next commissioner, I think somebody with a business background, somebody who can deliver return on investments that the league is going to make, somebody who has a real strong grasp of modern media environment, and then some of the priorities, things that the new commissioner might need to get to work on once he takes office, say the future of the Toronto Argonauts. And we don't want to be alarmist on that, but there is an ownership transaction happening with Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment in 2025. I know there are people in the league that want to make sure that transaction is secure, and even something like, say, a stronger, more formal relationship with the National Football League. They collaborate on some officiating stuff right now, but certainly whether it's grassroots programs or other measures, not a real tie-in, a lot of tie-in between the CFL and the NFL right now.
Meanwhile, one of the projects that Randy Ambrosie really championed was the idea of CFL 2.0, and the global program was a big part of that. You mentioned ROI. There hasn't been much return on investment as far as globals are concerned, and I think as far as the new commissioner and where the league heads in that regard, I don't think you're going to see any more investment into the global program. Now, that's not to say we won't see global players in the league. We've got a CBA that's got another 5 years on it, and when you talk to the PA, they understand that, yeah, these are now some of our members, and we're going to protect them, and that's in the CBA. So you will see global players. You're just not going to see a global combine. Likely aren't going to see globals invited from Europe and South Africa and other places to take part in the CFL combine here. Even the kicking combine, which is held in the United States, where a lot of global kickers attend, I don't think you're going to see that take place going forward. But again, you look at the NCAA, there are more and more global players that are in the NCAA right now. So I think that'll be the breeding ground that they draw from to get them into the CFL. So you will see global players, but no more investment in the global program.
You mentioned kickers, and certainly a topic that's going to, I think, dominate the offseason for a lot of people is the future of kickoffs. I mean, everyone is familiar with what they've seen, a radical transformation in the National Football League as they've adopted the XFL model. Now, let's be clear. The CFL is not looking at changing kickoffs because they think it's going to improve their game.
Yeah.
This is about health and safety of players. I mean, the injury data is pretty clear that there's a lot higher percentage of injuries on kickoffs than any other play, and the league wants to address that without taking the exciting kicking element out of their game. And look, they looked at this last year and they pumped the brakes and they said, hey, let's see what happens in the National Football League and observe that. Let's verify our injury data. But I think the two possibilities that we'll be talking about certainly out of the chute are whether you allow teams to scrimmage at the 40-yard line instead of returning a kickoff after you're scored upon with a touchdown, or maybe a CFL tailored version of what we're seeing in the National Football League. The league has struck a committee of special teams coaches and head coaches with special teams backgrounds to get this process started, but I think you'll hear a lot of it by the time we get to the league meetings in Charlotte in January.
Meanwhile, we were talking about the commissioner at the start, and expansion was such a big part of Randy Ambrosie's platform when he came in, and I think when they look for a new commissioner, I don't think they're looking for someone to champion that quite yet going forward. Now, look, the league wants a 10th team, but they also understand the realities of stadium construction in this country and how difficult it's been in the Maritimes. So I think they're pumping the brakes on that right now. U.S. expansion, though, I think is interesting. And when you talk to different governors and presidents, the reaction is mixed. I don't think anybody wants widespread U.S. expansion. But when you look at a market like St. Louis, and there's some parallels there to what happened back in the 90s with Baltimore, you know, St. Louis has embraced spring football, whether it's the UFL or the USFL or what have you. So if that league goes by the wayside, which many people believe it's going to happen after this year, and you look at the success in St. Louis, I don't think that's a non-starter. I think governors around this league would consider the possibility of a place like St. Louis as a 10th team going forward.
What an absolute ball it's been here at the festival. That's us inside the sails right there on Grey Cup Saturday. Almost 4 hours complete. We're coming back with our predictions on what happens for the big game tomorrow at BC Place. Stick around. You know, we've been here for almost 4 hours at the Grey Cup Festival, and the crowds haven't gotten any smaller towards the end of the Grey Cup festivities, if you will. And the enthusiasm, the anticipation for this 111th Grey Cup as high as it was at the beginning of the day, and at the beginning of the week it has been a lot of fun. And FanDuel's got a lot of different novelty markets available for the Grey Cup. That includes some novelty props based on the halftime performance, including which song the Jonas Brothers will open with tomorrow night. Celebrate is the favorite to be the first song that Jonas Brothers perform at the half. You can check out the long list, though, of novelty props available for the 111th Grey Cup right now on the FanDuel app. So, guys, this has been a lot of fun. I've had an absolute ball with both of you. Jim Barker as well here. Grey Cup Saturday is almost complete. Just your final thoughts, Lapo, on Grey Cup Saturday.
One thing that I think is very interesting is the fact that nowadays, 10 years ago, when you had that last practice day, you actually did some football, Bo.
Yeah.
You would have done offense, defense, you've done some special teams, you did stuff on the field. The media was there, but that has changed in 10 years. That's just guys hanging out, taking pictures nowadays. It's no longer a
Families
practice.
on the field.
Yeah, families there. And I think it's, I don't know, everybody has a phone now, and they're worried about being recording. But what's interesting is now all the teams will go back to their hotel, and then they'll have the real walkthrough, the real practice to finalize and be ready to go in the game. So that's what I took from today. I thought was pretty interesting.
We've done a lot of chatting about what this game is going to look like. Let's start with some meat and potatoes predictions here. Bo, what do you think happens tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is now my 3rd or 4th Grey Cup, and I don't think I've had the right prediction once, so you should probably go against whatever I say. But I was in the room with Nick Arbuckle. I was in the room with Ryan Dinwiddie. A lot of guys in that team, Flo, Winton, Royce, Amos, and I'm sorry, boys, but I got to go Winnipeg, and I'm not going to give you a 23-26. I'm going to tell you the truth. I think it's going to be about 32-14.
Okay.
You know what I think is, when I watched the two times these teams played each other, Winnipeg made critical errors, very critical errors. You can win games by just not making big mistakes, Bo, as you know, but they got sacked 12 times. They had 9 turnovers. They were 3 for 7 on field goals, including 1 in overtime. You know what? I think if they can stop the run of the Argonauts, and I think that offense for Winnipeg just doesn't have any critical errors, I think they win that football game, and I think it's a 24-14 game.
And those are completely reasonable predictions based on who's in the lineup, of
What
course.
do you think?
But
yeah, what do you got? Let's go.
Hey, I'm a fan of Cinderella. Legends are made in big games like this. Nick Arbuckle. Exceed our expectations here. I can't wait to watch it. And that's why this game matters. And that's why we can't wait for you to watch it tomorrow on Grey Cup Sunday. Don't miss it, of course. Here's the brass tacks. 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. The Argonauts trying to prove the doubters wrong against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Trying to finish this quintet of Grey Cup experiences on a winning note, and of course hosting next week as well. It's been a fun 4 hours, everybody, and now the football is all that's left to discuss. It has been a fabulous CFL season, all those last second scores to win games, and it all comes down to this one for Zach Collaros and the Bombers versus Nick Arbuckle and the Argonauts. Tune in tomorrow.